Good evening, everyone. I am going to call, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm going to call the Town Council meeting to order at 7:02. Let us begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to ask Troop 26 from the Cromwell Boy Scouts to guide us in the Pledge of Allegiance today. Thank you, Troop 26. So we have a couple changes to the agenda this evening. There are going to be 3 changes. First, under new business, I've been asked to move item O1 as new item D1 under staff reports, so that way the rec department director can address that issue earlier in the meeting. So that would be D1, and we'll just move the review and approval of the recreation director's request to increase pavilion fees to D1. I've been asked to add under J a new item 5 to CNR BOE budget request. This is new and was not in our packets previously. So that is item 5. And then we do have reappointments that just expired on February 1st and are being asked to be added under item Q3, reappointments A through F for a number of individuals to the Library Commission. Their terms just expired on February 1st, so if we could reappoint those folks. So those are the oh, and then I have one other change, and we can keep this one under new business. O1, the new O1. Can we just have discussion and possible action regarding 490 tax assessment issue? And I'll explain that one in more detail unless you guys want me to explain it now, just so we can have some discussion about what's happening with that and where we go from here. Absent any questions, I'll accept a motion to amend the agenda.
Motion approved.
I have a motion made second by Jamin. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of those amendments, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, carries unanimously. And now, can I have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
Motion approved.
Made by Al, seconded by Paul. All those in favor, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Okay, we will now move to commission chairman reports and staff reports. I think we have some commission and report members here and some staff members here, or unless you want to wait until liaison reports. But I think I saw Matt and I saw Jason. I don't know if you guys want to start by giving quick reports from your commissions and boards.
Evening, how are we all doing? Quick update from the Board of Education. We continue to work on the budget. We had a meeting on February 4th. Board of Ed members asked approximately 100 questions of the administration with regard to the budget and some of the requests that were put in there. The current budget request is a 6.61% increase over last year for a total of just over $43 million. There are a couple of unknowns. I can tell you that most of that is driven by salaries and benefits, but currently we do not know what the increase is going to be with regard to benefits. Right now, the number we've been given is a 52% increase in medical benefits. That is not uncommon right now for school districts. Most districts are facing that. Just a couple of numbers to throw at you. While this administration is requesting a 6.61% increase. Rocky Hill has requested 8.9. Newington has requested 9.8. They're in our DIRG also. Again, most of that is driven by the medical benefits. So what's happening is providers, for example, at the big 4 that are available in Connecticut, you've got Aetna, you've got United Healthcare, you've got Anthem, and then you've got Cigna. They've all seen costs go up in claims. over the last few years. So our broker came and met with us at the meeting, kind of explained to us the situation. They're continuing to work with those agencies to see if they can lower those numbers. We should find out more on February 24th. That is the hope anyway. They are scheduled to come back and present to us again on what that looks like. It's, you know, it's a slog. We're going through this pretty big binder of requests, and we have another meeting on the 24th to continue that process. So we hope to have a more final number for you after that. But again, a lot of that depends on what we hear from the broker on benefits. So any questions on that?
Any questions for Matt on anything from the Board of Ed report? Matt, will you be staying for the discussion that we have on the balance on the capital expenditures?
I can absolutely stay for that.
Yeah, I think you should stay for that. Any other questions for Matt? Okay.
I got one. There was excess money from last year's budget.
Yep.
What do we, I know that was held on to, and that we didn't spend it because of, you know, some unforeseen things. Were those unforeseen things, did they come to fruition? Is there still an excess?
To my knowledge, there is currently still an excess.
Do we know what that number is?
We pledged just over $200,000 to couple with the track in conjunction with the town. I believe the remainder is, I want to say, 377.
It's 396.
There you go. So at current, we have not been given any plans for how that is to be used. That is something that the board will be addressing, I believe, at the next meeting as well.
So did we realize the funding from the feds and everything else that we were worried about not receiving?
With regard to last year's budget?
Yeah, well, which was why,
Yeah,
which is
actually,
why we were
so-
hanging on to this money, because of the unforeseen fundings and whatnots that we,
Well, I think the money that you're referring to was what remained at the end of the last school year.
yeah, I
right?
think it was
The
like
last school budget year.
575 or something like that.
Yeah, it was around there.
Something like
So, yes, that money was held on to. Again, we had pledged 200,000, a little over
Right, with the
200,000, a
track.
couple with the town. But to my knowledge, the remainder has not been used yet. But again, we get an update on February 24th, so we'll see
Okay.
at that point. Our special ed costs do continue to rise, as does transportation. So I have a feeling that may come into play a little bit, but I don't want to speak out of turn for how the administration is handling that right now.
Okay.
Anything else?
Any other questions for Matt? Okay. Hearing none?
All right,
We'll
thank
get
you.
back to you in a little bit.
I'll be here.
Jason, do you want to give a facilities committee update?
Hi, good evening. Mine's going to be a little less meaty than his is, a lot less numbers. So the Public Asset Facilities Committee, we had our inaugural meeting on the 27th last month. It was kicked off by the mayor. One of the first things we did was take care of officers. So Steve Wiganowski was nominated as the chair of our committee. I was nominated as vice chair, and then Steve Heisman was nominated as secretary. We have our next meeting on the 17th, and that's where we'll talk about the dates, the meeting dates for the rest of the year, as well as short and long-term goals for the group, as well as some block and tackle admin stuff. Our plan is to meet with the Facilities Committee from the Board of Ed on the 24th. Is it on? Or I'm not, do I got to talk into it? Thanks, Matt. Sure. Talk with the Board of Ed Facilities Group on the 24th, and then tomorrow, with the help of the town manager, we have our first tour of this building here, Town Hall. Our plan is to try and tour one of the town's facility buildings once a week, as best we can, with everyone's hectic schedules. And then once we meet with the Board of Ed people, we'll try and start touring those guys as well. So this year, it's mostly coming up to speed on all the processes, getting to hear from all the people that are currently the stakeholders and what they're doing, and then look long-term forward as well. Any questions?
Any questions for Jason on the facilities committee's first meeting? Go ahead,
Sure.
Jimmy.
Are you finding the information from the Gordian report useful, or are you utilizing it in any way?
Our plan is to use that right now, because currently that's the best tool that we have. Steve is a big proponent of that, so that's our current big tool. We've started to sift through that, but what we're trying to do is hold off on that until we can talk to the town here, the Public Works, as well as the Board of Ed folks, to see what they're doing and how they're doing what they're doing, and and then see if we can't dovetail the two process once we get to know them better.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
I just wanted to let you know, I will be here tomorrow. I shifted my stuff around, so.
Awesome, thank you, Brian. Any other questions?
No. Thank you guys for the
Thank
work
you.
that you're doing and jumping into it with both feet. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Any other commission chairman reports? I see that the chair and vice chair of planning and zoning are here. I don't know if they have anything they wanted to update us on. I don't see any other commission chairmans or liaisons. Go ahead, Ms. Kelly.
Alice Kelly, Chair of Planning and Zoning, as well as a resident. I just wanted to let you know that I'm also the Chair of the Water Pollution Control Authority. The Water Pollution Control Authority has approved the new sewer system for 100 Berlin Road. So that's all taken care of to move ahead. And then on March 3rd, they're going to come before Planning and Zoning about what's going to go into the demolition, what it's going to look like, and things like that. So that's why the sewer department, I said, put it on. Let's get a motion out and let's get that done so that we can just move forward.
Let's get it down. I'm all in favor of that.
Oh, you know, and so that, I just wanted to let everyone know. So if you wanted to come to March 3rd, you're going to see a presentation of what it's going to look like and things like that. So we hopefully that, you know, we'll just see that building just go and move on. Thank you.
Any questions for Alice on that before she leaves? No? Mr. Waters? No? Yes? Okay.
Mrs. Kelly, regards to the sewage, the commission, what's the status on the issue behind Shumpike Road, behind,
Oh, the
North-
lake?
The lake, yes. Now it's an ice skating rink.
Well, it's like, it has fish in it now.
Yeah.
Right now, we will be working with the town manager, with the engineer and things like this, how we can move ahead. For the sewer department, for us, we only have a right-of-way. But what's happening is that that pipe that is somewhere in the woods has broken up and now is flooding. And it's flooding our infrastructure. And so we really need to know, we're looking at, as we come up, to have an attorney tell us what we can spend our money on for sewers, because we are limited, and how this can be taken care of, and it must be taken care of. We have chimneys, so we're going to have a scuba diver go in to see how, if anything is wrong with the pipes or anything. And I mean, everything is underground for sewers. Also, when you have it down, I don't know how many feet, 10, 15 feet of water. Also, how to get rid of the water without damaging Shumpike Road with having a flood. So, I mean, this is, will be ongoing in the next month or so to have a meeting. I know that Dan has told me that the town manager has already called deep and things like this. We've already had, we have maps to show how it can be done. We've paid that amount of money. So as we come together, because we got all of the people that have property there to allow us to go onto their property. So, but now we've had 2 feet of snow. So, but I mean, yes, it has to be taken care of. There's just no way that it cannot go on, because we can't have our manholes in the water.
No, and with this melt off, it's only gonna get worse.
Right, well, we know we have chimneys,
Oh, I know.
so you have to go in like, like a submarine, go down the chute.
Built-in ladders.
Right, but, so it's a very serious problem. But thank you, though, for bringing it up.
Thank you.
Alrighty. You also have in your packet staff reports from the various staff departments. I just wanted to highlight a couple of quick things. Notably, a couple of months ago, we announced that we got a grant from the state to enhance our senior food program. That is now being implemented. Amy has that outlined in her packet. But we'll go to Scott. We moved this item up for him. Scott, under D1, new business, there's a proposal to review and approve the Recreation Department's or Director's request to increase pavilion fees Go ahead and take the mic and talk us through the proposal.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I've been here, it'll be eight years next month, and in reviewing all policies of recreation, that includes field usage, programs, and part of that is the pavilion rentals. I noticed one thing that was kind of stood out to me, the fees for the current pavilion rentals. And if you're not aware of them, they are currently $50 for a resident, 4 hours as a minimum. Anything above and beyond that, you would have to pay $12.50 per hour above and beyond that. I've had probably over 25 to 35 people come in. Well, I just want to rent the pavilion for 2 hours, an hour and a half. And I really don't have any answer for them. And I say that's the policy adopted by the town council. I try to work with them as best I can, but it is a policy that 4 hours, it might have worked back in the day, but right now it's currently not working for the majority of the residents that I talk to. Then I did some research on the cost neighboring towns, and if you read my report, I looked at Portland, Rocky Hill, Weathersfield, even went as far as to Massachusetts, just to see exactly how other municipalities handle pavilion rentals. And there's a variety of things. There are still some towns that do utilize the block of 4 hours, but that 4 hours is $100 for the residents. And then obviously double the price would be the non-residents. We don't exclude non-residents, but they do pay more since they're not taxpayers. So when I talked to the town manager in regards to this, he said, put a proposal together, do your research. And I laid it out to him, and he thought it was a good idea, so that's why I'm here today. The reason for this is quite evident to me. We are raising the rates because the cost of maintaining the pavilions have increased over time. As you're aware of, or may not be aware of, the Parks Department is responsible for the maintenance, the cleaning, the removal of the garbage of all pavilions, with Lou and obviously Mike, as far as budgetary items. They are responsible for the wear and tear of the pavilions. The Parks Department does do the maintenance, preventative maintenance over the winter for the benches that we have installed underneath the pavilion. Right now they are currently wood, which have splinters, so they have to be aware of that. And typically a lot of the residents or people that utilize and rent the pavilions put staples for birthday parties and stuff like that, so the painstaking removal of all of the staples is part of the maintenance that they have to do. By raising the rates, I don't think it's going to be that substantial, because we're going to allow the residents now to a la carte pick how many hours they want to rent. It could even be as much as an hour and a half. It could be by half. We're getting a new software system which has the ability not only to have the residents register or request to reserve a pavilion online. Right now, currently, the only way for residents to do that, they have to come during office hours. And again, there's many people that call that are working, and they have to rush to get there before 4 o'clock. Sometimes I stay a little later if I know they're coming from work, just to accommodate a request of a rental. So it's going to make the flexibility for the residents to actually book the facility much easier. Our new software not only will enable people to do it on the computer, but also from their smartphones. It is user-friendly to the smartphones, and eventually they're going to have an app. So mom and dad could be sitting at a Little League game and all of a sudden think they want to have an impromptu party next month. They can go on their phones and they could see if Watrous and or Pearson's available and actually request for the rental. And then when we get in the office, we get notification, and then we act on it and we let them know. And the best part about it is now that the residents can pay by credit card and also put the security deposit on credit card, of which the security deposit gets refunded back to the credit card. So in essence, no one really has to come to the office unless they want to actually acquire a pavilion rental. And I think in this day and age, with everyone's busy lifestyle, we are taking in consideration of the busy residents and trying to accommodate them and make it easier for them to rent. Again, we're still allowing non-residents to partake in it. We do have a grace period where they have to wait until the residents have priority for the rentals. There are some attractive dates. I know every January we have 3 or 4 different groups of people that have been renting Watrous for, I think, the last 50 years. And there's a line waiting for me at 8:30 because they want a specific date in August to rent the facility. We've had over 150 rentals on average, and that's the 2 different locations, Pearson and Watrous. So I would say typically every weekend, starting in the end of April, beginning of May, of course, we have multiple rentals on Saturday and Sunday. And now by allowing them to kind of a la carte and pick and choose, maybe we can get 2 rentals per day, maybe even 3, depending on how it pans out with daylight and also the amount of time that the rentals are going to request. The wear and tear, you know, there's not much damage. There are some damage. Sometimes people will go, if they see a pavilion that's not being used during the week, they might have an impromptu rental. They may try to burn stuff that really they shouldn't be burning in the grills. We've dealt with that in the past. I've heard from that from Mike. I've called the police and asked them for assistance. So that's the biggest thing. But also, I'd like to try to get this pavilion, and I should say, preface this by saying the monies that come in for the rental go to the pavilion rental account. They do not go to the general fund. So the town manager and myself and Lou, we have the discretion, and we always do put it back into the pavilion to try to refurbish and try to replace equipment to try to make it more attractive. My goal would be to try to get rid of some of the old wood tables and get state-of-the-art tables that are maybe less damaged for graffiti and stuff of that nature, easier to clean by power washing as opposed to painting, and just more attractive for a family to rent for a birthday party and or a reunion or something of that nature. So if you have any questions, because I did lay it out in my report, I'll be happy to answer them.
I'll start with my left. Al.
Sir, you mentioned the Parks Department
Yes,
and Saturdays and Sundays rentals.
yes.
And if you're going to turn around and have like people in the morning and people in the afternoon, you're gonna have to have somebody there from the Parks Department doing the cleanup or emptying the garbage cans, et cetera. Well, are they gonna be there? For example, you have somebody till, say, 1 o'clock, then from 1 o'clock to, say, 5 o'clock. You're gonna have staff there to maintain, make sure the place is kept clean from the first people to the second people, correct?
Currently, right now, we have them come in every day, Saturday and Sundays, but they come in the morning, and they're cleaning up basically from the day before.
Right.
Garbages, they might have to blow out the pavilions if there's, if the fall, if there's leaves. They might have to clean some stuff, some garbage around the pavilion and stuff like that. But right now, they just come in the morning for a 4-hour block to specifically clean the garbages and get the pavilions ready for the next day.
Okay, now, like I said, somebody comes in and wants to rent it from, say, 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock, and it's a mess. You're gonna have somebody there to clean it up, or is that gonna go on to?
No, what would happen is I'd probably get a phone call after the weekend, and someone probably complaining about it, but they do a very good job, and since I've been here, I really haven't had any complaints in regards to if we had a back-to-back rental. Right now, with our current setup, the 4 hours, very minimal back-to-back rentals occur because most people want to start rentals at 10, 11 o'clock, go for 4 hours, and if someone's looking to come back in after that, it's not enough time for them. So that may be a question that if we go to this route and we have a problem and an issue, I will address that with the town manager, and we can see where we go from there. But right now, we just have them come in Saturdays and Sundays during the rental season.
Thank you.
My question is, if we remove the block period and we go to an hourly schedule, how are we going to ensure that somebody doesn't just book an hour and then stay for 2 or 3? Like, the 4 hours is kind of like, that seems like a good length of time for an event. Is there going to be any kind of monitoring to make sure that, I mean, you know, there's good faith, but also to make sure that if somebody is there for 3 hours, then they actually get billed for the time they use, not the time they booked?
What we have done over the course, when we rebuilt the Watchers Park, we used the Pavilion Fund to put cameras in there. We also have cameras on Pearson, so both facilities have surveillance in case there's damage and/or vandalism, or something happens where the police need to have access to it. But there are safeguards in the actual software, so people can go online and see it's available, they can request it, we review it, and we make sure there's a buffer, and we always give about an hour buffer.
Good.
To make sure there's no friction of people staying late or people getting there too early.
Yeah. 2 other questions. The software, does the software have an annual cost, just out of curiosity, versus what we used to do?
Well, it's the same cost, it's a different company,
Okay.
which I absorb in my.
Your
account.
budget?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, when was the last time the pavilion fees, to your knowledge, were either altered, amended, or increased? Is there like a date last amended on or adopted on?
I couldn't find one on the form. I've been here 8 years, and I know they've been the same. I don't know, I could probably go back.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to know if it's like
I
every
don't think-
5 years, we refresh this, every 10 years, every 20 years, you know?
I haven't done it, so it's been 11.
Okay. So at least 11 years. What is the daily rate for non-resident, or an hourly rate for a
It's
non-resident?
double the price, so.
It's double, so
and
whatever
we're
it is,
looking
it's
for
times 2.
25, they'd be $50
Okay.
per hour.
And what's the split between resident and non-resident usage that we're finding?
75 residents, probably 25 non-residents, give or take.
Okay.
But we do get quite a few non-residents as well.
Okay. Well, I'll open it up to the rest of the council for further discussion. He's looking for us to amend, if we want to amend it, he's looking for us to vote as to what to amend it to. So I think there's a couple decisions that we would have to make. Do we want to, A, move off of the 4-hour rental block option? And then B, what do we want, if we move off of the block option, what do we want the new hourly rate option to be? If we want to stay on the block option, do we want to change the rate up or amend the rate at all? So right now, it's $50 for a 4-hour rental, which is $12.50 an hour. So we could eliminate the 4-hour rental. We could keep the 4-hour rental, but increase the hourly rate. We could eliminate the 4-hour rental and just move to a pure hourly rate. We could do nothing and maintain the current policy. So I think there's a number of different things that we can do on it. So I think it's, and I'll open it up for discussion amongst the counselors. Oh, Mr. Town Manager, go ahead.
Yeah, I went over it with, thank you, Scott initially, and he's correct on his comparisons, and the fact that we no longer have the halls that the town used to have, and especially during the nice weather, our pavilions are getting, we get a lot of use with the pavilions. That's one of the reasons why we were looking in phase 2 of Pearson Park to put a larger pavilion in that area if we were successful in getting that additional funding from the state. At any rate, I would encourage the council to follow the directions of the recreation director, and I would urge you to follow that, and both for the hours and for the fees. I think it's very reasonable, and especially due to the fact that we're gonna break it down to hourly, and that in and of itself could save somebody money if they're only there for 2 or 3 hours even. But very reasonable, and he hit all the key points, and we do have to maintain them. And actually, I had the building maintenance division refurbish the pavilion in Pearson Park last year. But I agree, the next step is, I would like to be able to see if we could get rid of the wooden, picnic tables and go to something that, is easier to maintain, as Scott, stated, and we have been, upgrading, a lot of things, and it has been coming out of this fund, so it hasn't affected, the general fund at all.
Other questions from the councilors or other discussions? Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Mr. DeProto? And then Jack.
Do we charge any other, for use of any other facilities at Watrous?
Scott?
Just the fields. Splash pad currently is just open, first come, first serve, there's no monitor there. Tennis courts are the same way now, but, you know, with the event of the popularity of pickleball and tennis, you know, who knows down the road if we're gonna need to have a monitor there to have them play nice in the sand, both parties. But, no,
The
we
fe-
do,
just-
we do not.
Just the fields.
Just the fields.
Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, obviously, nonprofit groups, local groups, we waive the fee for them. So, you know, Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, committees, stuff of that nature, I do have the discretion to waive fees. The town manager has discretion to waive fees, so we typically do that to honor the people in town. These are just for like the residents who just want to get out of their house and maybe have a birthday party or a reunion. And the beauty of that too is you can't put a price on it. They're going there, they're bringing their garbage and they're leaving it there and they go home. They don't have to worry about it. Our staff has to worry about it. And, you know, sometimes if it's a big rental, it's gonna take more than, you know, an hour or so to clean up.
All right, thank you.
Jack? Jack.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if you could, just synthesize this a little bit and say, this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, what's your North Star here?
Tell me what you're looking for.
Well, if you want to know my vision, I would definitely want to increase the fees so we can have more money to put back into the pavilions.
I know that
And
part.
I think what I'd like to have happen is, I know it's going to be well received from the public because I hear from them all the time. People get frustrated when they have to come into the office to fill out a pavilion rental. And if they're working, some people are nicer than others. And some people get upset with leaving another separate check for a security deposit, of which sometimes we have to call them to have them come back to pick it up. I have cash in my office for 3 people from last year that still haven't come back to pick it up. It's gonna stay in there, and we will keep calling them, but it's, you know, sometimes it's a hassle for them to even come back or even to pay for the security deposit. I'm just trying to streamline it and make it easier.
Scott, he's asking, what are you looking for? You're looking for $25 an hour
Oh,
for
yeah.
residents?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking for
That's-
$25 an hour.
And let's spell it out, because it's not.
And if we're gonna vote for something, I would like us to
Okay.
know
Yeah.
what it is that you want, so that I can say,
Sure.
Scott has been very successful in what he's done. I think he should.
Yeah, do you want 25 and removal of the 4-hour minimum?
Yes.
Yes, I think it would,
Remove it to an hour, right?
yes,
And you want to double the cost for non-town residents.
yes,
So 25 for residents, 50 for out-of-town residents, and instead of the half-day, reduced to 1-hour blocks.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
and I also would say, if over the course of time, I don't see a decrease in the rentals and we do have a nest egg, then there's the possibility of expansion with either grants and/or the money that's in there to think of another location in town for another pavilion. I would love to have something on River Road somewhere, Cromwell Landings or something, because I think that would be the premier spot for anyone wanting to rent.
Well, I think you've got certainly a vast experience in doing this over the last 8 years. You know what works, you know what hasn't worked, and I think to the point of raising some prices on it and modifying the to an hour, I think if that's the way where we can still keep everybody happy with what their opportunities are and run it efficiently, then personally, that's what I think we should do.
So is there a motion somewhere in there, Jack, that you want to make?
I just,
Someone else may wanna talk.
I would like to caution against some people's human nature to seek the better deal. If there's a way to review the camera footage at some point, halfway through the season, and I just think that some people may get the idea that, well, we'll rent it for an hour, no one's watching, we'll use it for 2 or 3. We only have to pay $25 for the hour, we'll stay for 2 extra, and no one's gonna know the difference. As opposed to renting it for the full 3 hours and paying the full price, kind of getting a little bit extra for free.
Except they are aware, and he makes them aware that it is under video surveillance, and he does from time to time monitor it, and if that is the case, then we would revoke them from coming back.
Because we would have all their information on file.
Would we be able to use the security, like, let's say it's a 2-hour, they rented it for 2 and they stayed for 4. Is that something the security deposit can then be attributed to go
Yeah.
to?
We could put it in.
Or,
there.
Can we
can we
have that
put
as
it
part of the
into
policy
part of the
that, you know,
policy that if you stay an
if you
extra
stay
time,
after.
you are being monitored and you will pay for the extra
We
time?
could do that, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Just to
again,
deter it.
everyone who does get an approval from us gets a permit. So if they show up to a rental and there's an impromptu rental, like someone just sees that the pavilion's not being used, they go show their permit. If the people won't leave, then they're asked to call the PD dispatch and someone comes out on the weekend to remove them.
Gives them
That's very infrequent. I don't think it's ever happened, but usually people understand if they show a permit that has our letterhead on there, that they have to leave. So there's really no problems per se in the past.
Scott, on your application forms, maybe you could put something in writing?
Sure.
If they overlap the time, that their security deposit will be
Yep.
put towards that overlapping,
I'll be happy to do that.
which would be, at least they know ahead of time, and they have to sign it, so
Sure,
I think it's a good idea.
we could do that.
I'll preface this by saying, I don't love the idea of raising the costs to residents who already pay taxes in this town, but I get where you're coming from. You were asked, what the proportion of non-resident to residents was, and it was like roughly 25% usage from non-residents. On this, you noted that in a regional comparison, it's $100 per block in other areas. So why wouldn't you increase it more for non-residents, other than just doubling it? Since you've already mentioned that there is a lot of demand on these two things, so maybe if we discourage non-residents by increasing the price, I don't know how to phrase it, but basically, if there's a lot of demand on this, we'd like to see residents have higher access to it, I guess, by keeping it more affordable for them, and a little, you get where I'm coming from on that?
No, I do.
Yeah, all
I'll harken back to when, if you remember way back when, it's not apples to apples, but down in Greenwich for the beaches, where they had residents and non-residents, and they got slapped on the wrist because they were trying to do exactly what you're saying to non-residents. So we try to double it to
Let me
make it.
just say this, both parks, we receive federal funding for, so we have to be, as Scott just mentioned, Greenwich was a good comparison. We have to be reasonable in what we charge, and doubling the rate is reasonable, but we do have to allow out of town individuals to utilize both our parks, because we have received federal funds for those parks.
Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah, I got you. That's what I was thinking of. Maybe it's possible. So, thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, any further discussion on this?
I'd like to put a motion on the floor to approve.
And let me just be clear, what is the proposal? Is it the 20, what are we approving? The 25 per hour, no more blocks with a security deposit clause that if they overstay, they lose their part of their security deposit?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it prorated?
That's a good question. Do we want to prorate it based off of the amount of time that they overstay?
We could do that.
I like that.
Yep.
I think that gives accountability. So prorate it based off of the
Yeah.
amount of time that they stay. How much is the security deposit?
$100.
Okay, so perfect, yeah. So we'll prorate the security deposit based off of if they overstay. I think that's fair. So 25 an hour, double for non-residents, no more blocks, and it is if they overstay, it's prorated. Their security deposit will be prorated, and that will be put as part of the
The
application.
security deposit is 100 for either resident or
Okay,
non-resident.
so it'll just be prorated, the security
It
deposit.
seems to
will
be a good deterrent,
Yeah, will be
$100.
prorated, we'll put it in there as part of the policy. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second, any further discussion on it? Yep.
No, I'll say
Oh, second, okay, we have a motion by Al, a second by Jamin, any further discussion on it?
Nope.
Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, I voted aye as well, so motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Scott, for the presentation.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for the
Thank
work that you do, too.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will be quick with my mayor's update. Like Jason indicated, I kicked off the first Public Facilities and Assets Committee meeting 2 weeks ago. That was great. Also attended Community Events Committee meeting with the town manager, which is on his agenda as well. We are working on getting the Riverport Festival moving. They are going to be coming to us as part of our budget process with a funding request. So we discussed what their funding needs are, how much they've raised privately, and what they're doing to try to continue to fundraise. I also attended the middle school auditorium dedication to Mike Camilleri in his memory. The auditorium is named after him. That's something that this council approved, I think, a year and a half ago. And I have also met with State Representative Christy Carpino to go over the capital improvement request that we had through state bonding. It's an off-budget year, but I talked her through each of the proposals that we had. I met with her twice, and so we've had some really good productive discussions. You know, she outlined, you know, what the process is and what we need to do, and the town manager and his staff did an excellent job submitting those documents to her and Senator Lesser. So that is on the move as well. I was away last week to visit my favorite mouse who took all my money, so I missed the ribbon cutting for 1851, but I will be going privately there to visit with them and see their event space. Here it's really excellent. Other than that, those are my updates. I did ask, and thank you for agreeing to add to the agenda something to address 490A, the statute that is on the farmers' tax assessment increase. As you guys may know, the governor issued a letter indicating that OPM was to issue and promulgate, you know, directives to town assessors to no longer follow the 2025 guidelines and to revert to the older guidelines. Our town assessor has taken the position that that hasn't happened yet, so she can't revert it on her own. She needs something from the state in writing. And so what I want to do when we get to that new business item is make sure that we're addressing it and make sure that we're informing all of the farmers that are infected as to what the current status is and what the next steps will be. I think communication is really important right now because it's a really quickly changing landscape, and I don't think just saying it's good enough is good enough. We need to make sure that everybody knows what we know when we know it. I've also spoken with State Representative Carpino about the situation as well. And I got a memo today from the tax assessor. So when we get to that item, we'll go through the memo from the tax assessor, we'll go through the comments from the state representative, and we'll go through my perspective and comments and the town manager's perspectives and comments on it. And then hopefully we can try to find a couple pathways to move forward. I got a couple citizens' comments on the same issue. So I just wanted to make sure that folks knew that it's on the agenda, and I want to make sure we address it tonight. That said, that's my update. If anyone has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, we'll go on to the town manager's update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're about 3/4 through department budgets, putting them together to get them ready to, at the end of the month, submit to the council. As mentioned, this year, benefits are presenting a problem for us, as our history is also not that great with regards to usage. We are out to the bid on the benefits, so we're waiting to see and looking at exactly what the percentage is that they will be coming in at. However, it appears and I really hate to say this, that it will be significantly higher. I don't see it being at 50%, but I do see it being significant. However, we are still working on that portion. Matter of fact, we had a meeting today on it also. So we'll continue to address benefits. I just want to say that, as you very well know, our police chief is leaving last day, February 20th. So if you did receive invitations on January 19th between 1 and 2 in the Belden Room, if you want to stop by to say goodbye to him. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say January?
We're getting another year out of them.
February 19th. That's probably why I made that slip.
We'll see him in January.
Yeah.
What's the date, Tony?
January again. February 19th, between 1 and 2 in the Belden Room. And if you approve my appointment tonight, a swearing-in ceremony for the new chief will be on February 23rd at 11 a.m. in the morning in the Belden Room also.
Can you repeat those two dates so I can put them in my calendar?
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Goodbye
Goodbye.
on the 19th,
Yep.
between 1 and 2.
Okay.
Swearing in on the 23rd, 11 a.m., both events in the Belden Room.
The second time, I'm sorry.
Okay, the 19th.
No, I'm sorry, I had to switch between pages.
Okay, the 19th is.
I got goodbye.
Is goodbye, 1 to 2.
Okay,
Swearing in Monday,
Monday,
the 23rd,
23rd.
11 a.m.
Cool.
So one's a goodbye and one's a hello.
Got it.
Yeah, don't mess up the mayor, please.
Yeah, I gotta, listen, I'm putting it on two calendars, that's why.
He needs a pen, you know.
But,
Do that homework.
you're receiving emails on those, so
Thank
you
you.
will get an email, a hard copy.
Thank you.
Other than that, and Mr. Spina will be able to speak more, I'm somewhat concerned about his overtime budget. It was cut last year, by the way. I know. And we are, it came to fruition this year. It's not like the past 2 years, but the bottom line is, it seems like we're getting hit every weekend and holiday weekends. So we are monitoring it, and he can speak to other concerns that we have, because we do have some other.
I'm willing to admit that I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, it happens, you know, I've been there. So, at any rate, Mr. Spina, I just want to say that our guys have been doing an outstanding job, and I've been getting a lot of compliments with their ability to keep our streets open. And if you just ride around our town compared to other jurisdictions, and you take a look, we're down to asphalt, and other jurisdictions still have snow to go, or our guys have already pushed back, and other towns, you know, still have a lot of work. I just think our guys have done an outstanding job, and that goes for the whole Public Works Department, because during the big storm, we have to mobilize, and Mr. Spina did put together an excellent snow plan that was utilized during that storm. So storms like that are tricky because they linger and they continue and they stop and they continue. So you get a lot of snow, then it slows down a little bit. But I just wanted to mention that I think our public works crew has done outstanding. And that's all I have, unless somebody's got a question.
Any questions for the town manager? I'll start with my left. Go ahead, Al.
Mr. Town Manager, who is in charge of building maintenance?
Building maintenance?
Yes.
Director of Public, there's a superintendent, there's a building maintenance superintendent, and he works for the Director of Public Works.
Okay. So, well, the question I have is, that back sliding door where the seniors come in off the buses, that is ready to fall off the tracks before somebody gets hurt.
Backsliding door, the rear entrance,
Yep. That's where the seniors get off the bus and come in to the senior center.
there's a problem with that? I was not made.
Well, you gotta go hear that door. It's ready to fall off the
We'll
the
check
tracks.
it out tomorrow. We'll
Please
make-
do.
Yeah, we will.
Thank you.
Any questions to my right for the town manager? Okay, just one quick question, Tony. Have there been any further discussions with the Board of Ed about the grounds maintenance process as we've been exploring, kind of collaboration?
I talked to the superintendent, and I asked the superintendent to set up a meeting with that individual's union president to discuss the possibility of that person coming out of their union and going into our public works union, or other options that we could consider, but it has to be discussed with their
Yep, of course.
president, as you know,
Yep.
because that is their position. So she's supposed to get back to me. I asked her to set up a meeting, and she told me she would get back to me, and I'm waiting for her to set up that meeting.
Great.
If that does come to fruition, would that be absorbed into our budget? Or would, I mean, if we're going to take them on, is that now lightening their budget?
Well, that's something that can be negotiated or discussed. It could be where it comes into our budget and we then absorb that cost, or it could be something that comes into our budget and they contribute to that cost. So there are some options, but the first hurdle to get over is to see if that union
wants to switch.
is going to relinquish that position.
Yeah.
However, what concerns me is, I'm a little concerned because in her budget, she's got another position in that area.
Wish we could go over that line item by line item, but we can't.
So,
It is what it is.
If we start moving in this direction, in all probability, I'm assuming that position would not occur, but
Yep.
but the main hurdle is to have a meeting with their union to discuss it.
Okay, fair enough. Just out of curiosity, and I don't know if the council will indulge me on this, I know that some of the Boy Scouts wanted to address the council during public comments, but we're running a little long, and I think they're leaving at 8. Would anyone be object to letting the gentleman back there come on up and address us right before town council liaison up reports?
Motion to approve it.
Okay, I have a motion to amend and allow them to, I'll add it as an item, before under liaison reports, Boy Scout liaison report, they can come up and talk to us a little bit. They wanted to address the council, so, I have a motion to amend,
Yes,
second by Jack. Any further discussion on that? Okay, so I'm just gonna put that as Boy Scout liaisons. So, okay, Troop 26, sorry for how long it is. I know there were some things you wanted to talk to us about, and I want to make sure you guys had the opportunity to do that before you had to go home. So I invite Troop 26 to come to the microphone to share some of the things they were telling me. And just let us know your name so everyone can see you and say hi to the folks at home. That's right.
Hi, my name is Hunter. So I want to talk about can we make bike paths so it's more safer for people biking, because people are walking down the sidewalks, so there's not really any places for the bikers to go.
Thank you, Hunter. Appreciate it. We'll definitely keep talking about it. Bikes and sidewalks have been something we've been talking about, so thank you. I think it's a great idea, and thank you for bringing it up before, and, thank you for coming up to the microphone and bringing it up to all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Luke Lefebvre, and I was hoping to bring up the low walls at Pearson Park and how it's kind of a trip hazard, which I personally have tripped on and have seen other people trip on, so I was just hoping that would be able to be a problem that could be fixed.
He's the castle walls on the playground, the ones that are kind of buried partially in the wood chips.
We can check that.
Thank you.
What playground was that?
Pearson.
Oh,
Well, maybe not tomorrow.
As soon as it's out of snow, they'll take a look. Thanks, Hunter. Thank you. And one more. Do you have one more, right? Yeah, go ahead. And I just want to, just while you're coming up, I want to give kudos to you guys for, participating in the public process, for coming to town hall. We have a lot of meetings, and I would say that most of the public comments normally are one or two people, and so it's really great that you guys are here and being part of the civic process, because this is what democracy is all about, and being an active community member, which I know is part of what scouting is all about, is being part of your community. So good job, you guys. I'm really proud of you.
Hi, I'm also Hunter. Recently, I've been finding it that's been pretty difficult for younger people, like the teenagers, 16-year-olds, to find jobs in the community. I was wondering if there was any way that there could be more opportunities open for them, because I've been noticing that a lot of the minimum wage jobs, or just any jobs in general that are open for them, haven't been open at all, if at any. So.
Maybe, Tony, if you can reach out to our youth services director and see if there's any kind of programs or opportunities that she can have to help kids find, their first part-time job in a safe location in town. I don't know if there's a program.
On that note, I have been in discussion with our social service director, and we're looking at the possibility of some funding to hire our youth. And criteria would be, we would, out of this grant, we're looking to see, we would pay the youth, and they would go to work for qualified senior citizens doing specific types of jobs. So, yeah, we are looking at it, so keep watching our youth service page on the website. And hopefully sometime this spring, we're able to put a program together.
Thank you.
Thanks, it's a great idea. Thank you. I just, again, want to thank you guys for coming and participating and being part of the public process. You guys it's really great to see you guys do it, so thank you. Okay, with that, I'll move on to other town council liaison reports. I know, Jamin, as Conservation Commission Chair, you have a update both as liaison and as chair.
Yeah, I guess I'll quickly go through, because, time is of the essence here. We plan to update the open space plan, and we're still working on our bylaws, but we are planning to incorporate a lot of the suggestions that we've gotten from the town manager and staff. We have a upcoming sustainable CT evaluation this April, and I'm glad to say that we are expecting to reach a bronze. Yeah, all right. And I just wanted to thank the town staff. They've done a tremendous amount of work to contribute towards this, and I don't want to take away credit from them. That's it for conservation.
Thank you. Ann, do you have anything? I don't know if you went to any of the middle school building committee meetings or anything else. Okay, Jack.
Nothing right now.
Al.
I did not attend the Senior Advisory Commission. I was a little bit under the weather. But like I stated last month, the senior center, they're keeping quite busy. And it's nice to see the amount of seniors coming in and taking advantage of it. And it's too bad we didn't have more room, because then there'd be more people. Attended the EDC, and there was just a discussion about business of the quarter. And they did pick some names, and that'll be actually town manager and the town mayor would be given the awards out like they did in the past. And that's about it.
Brian, anything from Fire Commission?
Fire Commission didn't have a quorum last month, so they're meeting next week. And Jason gave you the update on the Public Asset Facilities Commission, so.
And the Fire Commission has an election. Can you just remind folks when their election is? I don't know if you remember offhand, because I don't.
I don't either.
It's on Monday.
I'll tell you. I brought my handwritten calendar.
What's what's?
I believe it's February 24th from 6 to 8 p.m.
February
That's correct.
24th from 6 to 8 p.m.
Yeah,
in the town hall, not
Yep.
here. Okay,
They're
thank you.
filling a commissioner spot.
They're filling a vacancy.
Yep.
Ms. Luna, anything for you?
Okay, there was a Zoom meeting of the Cultural District Commission on January 26th, and the application to the state was finalized for the third time, I believe, James?
Yep.
And I do believe it got resent again, and I haven't heard anything. Is there an update?
Yeah,
on that?
we, just so the council knows, we maintained one district, with stretching the entire length of Main Street. We conceded that if they wanted to have like sub-districts where it's a north and south district, they can call it whatever they want, but our ordinance is one district, and we'd like to keep it that way. So we submitted the application with a clarification letter. There was a number of items that Amanda, helped, and Tony's staff helped get updated. They wanted hyperlinks to each of the commissions and who were on them. They wanted links to the budget. They wanted, information from the Board of Education. So we updated the application. It was about 7 pages, single-spaced of new information, in addition to the 125 pages of the original application. So now the state has it all. And if we are successful and get approved, we will be getting a $1,000 grant. So it's a lot of pages for that $1,000 grant. But in addition to the grant, we will also be placed on the state tourism website advertising Cromwell businesses along Main Street. So I'm hoping that, the state approves the application. The next step after they review the application is they would do a tour. So we'll give them a physical tour. They've already done one tour in last spring, so they'll come this spring for another tour. Assuming that goes well, we get the $1,000 we get on the state tourism website, and then we can run with it and start advertising. One of Connecticut's, I think it'll be the 7th or 6th cultural district in the state, and so we can hopefully have that up and running by the time we have a report. So I'm very happy about that. I mean, it's the hardest I think anyone's ever worked for $1,000, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Very pleased with everyone's hard work on it. The group's been doing a great job. Okay, so, yep, go ahead, Paul.
One more. I attended the Library Commission meeting on Monday evening, the 9th, 2 days ago. Right.
Okay, so we will, with that, unless there's any questions for anybody on anything, we'll move on to the town manager's recommendation approving his appointment for police chief. And so, Mr. Town Manager and Captain Penn, do you want to go on up to the good old podium? Any comments or questions either for the town manager or the captain? Otherwise, I'll let the captain speak for himself if he has anything he wants to say.
At this moment, no, I don't have anything. I'm speechless.
You can make the motion.
I move to select Stephen Penn as our next chief of police.
Second.
It's approved, but yeah, that's it's fine. So we have a motion and a second. Al, did you make the second?
Yes, I did.
Okay, made seconded by Al. Any discussion on that? As far as discussion from my end, I have known Captain Penn since he was SRO Penn, and I would have second period library study hall, and I would annoy the heck out of him. Because that's where his door was, and I would sit in the front chair and talk to him for an hour every day. And he's tried to bribe me with candy to get away from him, but it's okay. He is such a huge asset to the community. His personality, his humor, his wit, his kindness, his generosity, his advocacy, his work. We have a tradition of really great police chiefs in this town, and I'm very proud that you'll continue that tradition, and I'm really happy for you. So with that, unless there are any other comments, there's been a motion, there's been a second. Go ahead, Mr. Waters.
I like the idea of coming up through the ranks. It makes other officers enjoy and hope they can climb the ranks that you have, Steve. Which that makes morale a heck of a lot better rather than, no offense, Mr. Fred, but as far as outsiders coming in, this was in-house, which is, I think, the best thing possible we could do.
I wouldn't be here without.
I know
checks
that.
out. I wouldn't.
The police
great
department
mentor.
wouldn't be as good neither.
I wouldn't be standing in front of you without him.
I understand it. Congratulations.
Alrighty. With any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Congratulations, Captain,
Congratulations.
soon to be chief-elect.
Quiet guy, very
And
quiet.
I want to just take the opportunity to thank our current chief. I am upset that there will be one less Greek in town hall, but I will accept the fact that our ratio is going down. I wish you, and I'll extend the same thing on the 19th, but I wish you the best and happiest retirement, and thank you for all your success and hard work here in the town, modernizing the department and really taking us through some difficult times nationally, locally, and everything else. You've done an outstanding job, and you'll hear more on the 19th, but you're a rock star.
James,
Go ahead.
if I may, it's been a pleasure to look up at you, sir.
Okay, so we will move on to item I, which is the appointment of the Board of Finance Vice Chair. I think this has been resolved. Yeah, okay. So there were two candidates for this. One candidate withdrew his consideration of it. That was Mr. Waganowski, who's the current vice chair. Subsequent to this, Mr. Waganowski has been appointed as Facilities and Public Assets Chair, and he will continue to serve on long-range capital planning based off of the background and knowledge that he did. And so I believe, I don't know if this has already happened, but I believe Mr. Kelly has expressed interest in being vice chair, and I believe that he'll be voted in if he hasn't already been. I think, was he already voted in? Okay, so yeah, he was voted in. So I know there was some discussions that were happening, and I think that I commend the Board of Finance for working their way through that. We'll move now to item J1. The budget report, our annual budget, or monthly budget report can be found in your packet, and our Finance Director, Sharon DeVoe, is here to answer, to give a brief overview of our current budget and answer any questions that we may have.
Okay, good evening. I gave everyone their audit report and the state grant report for fiscal year '25. In your packet are the reports for the end of January. As for the expenditures, I am working with Mr. Spina. Every time we have a snowstorm, we give him an accounting of how much that storm cost us. And right now, him and I are working within their approved budgets right now. When and if we have an issue, I will let you know. Revenue is coming in strong. Tax collections is strong, as is investments. And I'm not sure if the town manager and I talked about this. We received an energy grant rebate from Eversource in the amount of $511,247, and that was for the new middle school, but that money came to the town.
Any questions for the Finance Director? I just had one question. I didn't get a chance to go through the whole CAFRA yet, Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, but I just opened it and skimmed really quickly. What's our unassigned fund balance? On one part, it says that our unassigned fund balance is 23%, and then in the statement of summary net position, it says our unrestricted fund balance is 12%.
So, they actually changed how that was presented in the audit this year, and
Okay.
they had to redo fiscal year '24.
Okay.
I unfortunately don't have my audit report here, but the one that you should be doing for the percentage is in the MD&A,
MD&A.
Management Discussion and Analysis.
Okay, so
Sorry, I
that
didn't-
23.04 is the accurate number?
Yes.
Okay, cool, thank you.
You're welcome. And I do want to comment that I am working with the town manager on the budgets. We have the same issue as the Board of Ed with the health. We got the same news they did. We have a meeting on February 28th to hear, we went out to bid for other companies to bid on us. So, like I said, we won't know that until next Friday when we have our meeting.
As far as our budget books, can we get them a little earlier? Because we need time to look at it. It seems like it gets closed in, by the time we get them, we only got a couple of days to review it, which is not really fair to us.
My goal
Yes,
is the week of the 23rd to try to get it to you available by Wednesday, so you have that and the whole weekend.
try or you will.
Like I said, I'm waiting on some numbers. I'm not going to make a promise. But Amanda will notify you immediately when they are ready. And after the meeting and everything, I will work with the town manager to get those books. I've been keeping up with departments we have finalized to try to ensure you get them in a timely manner.
Thank you.
I know we're pretty good about this normally, but could you make sure,
The CNR?
yeah, that too, but my question was gonna be something different, but I'm glad you said that. Yeah, that too, the CNR too. Could you make sure that on the Board of Finance, or either Board of Finance or Finance Department's landing page on the website, whichever one you choose, that there's a hyperlink to a digital version of the binder, so that if residents want to go through the whole budget, they don't have to go and find a hard copy of the binder to, like, the budget proposals, that I know in the past we've uploaded the budget, but just somewhere easily accessible that they can say, like, view the budget here, or.
I was going to say, we usually put it on the homepage.
That's perfect. I just want to make sure that
Yeah,
it's
we
somewhere
put it-
that,
We put it on,
yeah, that
yeah,
way
it's
if
on the
people are
homepage.
following along at home to our budget hearings, they can see exactly what we're seeing. So just as long as that's still somewhere accessible. And then, could you post like a banner or something? I don't know if we could do something just to remind people what the date of the referendum is, like make that flashier somehow on the website, like a banner or something?
Not only are we gonna put it on the website, we're gonna put it on the electronic sign,
Okay.
Shortly,
Okay, good.
starting now, so nobody can complain that they don't have advance
And,
notice.
and I don't know if we need Board of Ed permission, but could we also flash it on the new Board of Ed electronic sign too, so it shares on there? I don't know if we have to go to the Board of Ed for that, but Matt, can we flash the budget referendum date on there starting soon too?
I mean, my understanding is that was part of the plan with that sign originally. I
Yeah.
remember that discussion happening.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure who contacted you.
Okay. I just want to, especially if we have these different assets, I want to make sure we're using it to get the information. And it's the first Tuesday in May, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to the setting the date for the budget workshops. How many dates will you guys be looking for? 3?
We usually schedule 3, and in past years, we have completed in 2.
Okay.
Like on a Monday and a Wednesday, or Tuesday and
Yeah,
Wednesday.
they need 3 this year, though.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
They need 3 this year.
May.
Yeah, so let's pick 3 to be safe, and then if we need to have our regular meeting in March is March 11th.
Correct, and we have to be done by then.
We have to be done by March 11th.
Yes.
So go to the 6th or
That may not.
Okay,
So I was proposing 2 the first week in March,
okay.
and then if we need to, like, going to like the 9th in March for the 3rd.
Sure.
But if we propose 2 that first week in March, Amanda and I kind of went over the schedule. I forget what we decided, Amanda.
What are your recommendations? And then we have to check everyone's availability.
Did we do Tuesday?
Mar-
Okay,
so
so we
what was
can
the
do
first date?
Tuesday, Wednesday, I mean, you can do Monday, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, whatever works for the council.
I can't do the 2nd. I have something I have to do for work, but I'm available Tuesday, the 3rd. Let's start there. Is everyone available Tuesday, the 3rd? What time would you like to start?
We were proposing 4:30 like we did last year.
Okay. For the folks can folks make 4:30 work? I know some people have places that they need to be during the day. 4:30 is okay? Okay, 4:30 on the 3rd, let's lock it in. Let's go right to the next day.
Skip a day.
Well, we can skip a day if folks would folks want to skip a day? Or would you want to get it?
No, if we can go 3, 4, 5,
Okay, I'm available on the 4th. Is everyone available on the 4th? I think we just do it back to back to back. Yep, same time, 4:30.
Same batch, yeah.
Town budget. Do we want to continue on the 5th and do 3 days in a row?
I can't.
we'll use the if necessary.
Yeah, so the 5th as well?
Yeah.
Okay, if we could, yeah, 4:30 on the 5th. I have a trial that day, but I'll be done by 4:30. I'll just be tired. So budget, day 3. Just for reference, I don't know if people think, I'm not on trial. That's for like work. I just realized how that sounded. I'm not on trial. I'm not arrested for anything.
Yeah.
It's just for work.
And a new chief is right over there.
I know, Chief, I know.
Anything could happen.
I had a nightmare that I drove through a stop sign the other night. So, I'll self-report my dream. Budget hearing, day 3. Okay, do we need to pick a 4th date, or should those 3 be good?
Would you?
Those should be good. Okay. After spending 12 hours together that week, we should be okay. Okay, so, and then we have our regular meeting on the 11th. We can finish anything that we have on our regular meeting. Okay, very good. So can I have a motion to approve budget hearings on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th from 4:30 until finished each evening?
Motion.
Give it to Jamin. Who wants to second? Second by Brian. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimously. Next is the sewer usage budget and sewer assessment budget. Mr. Town Manager, the Water Pollution Control Authority Chairwoman told me that they already set a date. Do we need to still set it if they've set a date? They said they set a date at their last meeting.
No, you set the town meeting date.
Okay, okay, so that's separate than the hearing date that they set? Or should we do it at the same time as whatever they have?
I checked through the whole charter and the ordinances, and I don't find anything for a public hearing.
We always have had a public hearing, and that's what we have to have, because
No,
we have
I don't find anything that requires it.
it's by state statute.
I checked the state statutes.
Well, I'm
If
just
you-
saying is that for 20 years,
If
that
you-
we've had to, because we have to set our rate, the EDU rate, and that is what we do. We set the rate, whatever it's going to be for the year. We have to have a public hearing that the people can come. Because I don't know if everybody here realizes that none of the sewer department comes out of taxes. All of the sewer department materials, for their benefits and things like that, for their wages, is all under the CWPCA. And we have a budget, assessment budget, and we have a usage budget. So we set our public hearing that we've done for the last 20 years, and it's going to be on March 9th.
Okay, but
So-
there's a town ordinance,
Yep.
8-6,
So we need to have a separate meeting on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but 8-6 defines how your budget is prepared. And 8-6 does not talk about a public hearing. It only talks about you preparing the budget, and then it being reviewed by the finance director, and then it goes to town meeting.
And a town meeting is just so everyone is aware, is when everyone in the room raises their hand, including residents and taxpayers, to approve or not approve something.
Well,
And they also get the opportunity to express.
that's what we have. And that's what we have to do, is because we have a proposed
No,
budget.
the town meeting is set by the council.
Well, your town meeting is different than our public hearing.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
But I can't find anything on the public hearing.
But if they
Mr.
want to
Mayor.
have a public hearing, just to have a public hearing and get more public input, I
They-
think they can do
they
it.
can
But
do
we,
whatever they
we're,
want.
we need to have the official town
That's
meeting
right.
to finalize it.
And this
So
is
when is your public hearing? So
Our
that way the
public hearing is on March 9th.
Okay.
Historically, we usually have the special town meeting before the regular meeting
No,
in
wait a minute,
March.
wait a minute.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
the
perfect.
problem.
Yeah.
The problem is, she can't have a public hearing with you approving the budget beforehand.
No,
Well,
we're gonna do
nobody
it
pu-
after.
We
So-
approved the budget, and according to that, the
I
public,
don't mean this body, I mean the town meeting.
Yep.
Approving the budget.
we have to approve, we have to have a public hearing to approve our budget and also our EDU rate.
So let's do this. So by tradition in history, they've had public hearing because they value public feedback, and that's the way that the process has been for 20 years. They have a public hearing. It's gonna be on the 9th. Let's set our town meeting, for anybody in the public to vote on it for our March 11th meeting. Let's do it 15 minutes before our regular meeting, on March 11th. Does that sound good?
Motion to approve that.
I have a motion from Al.
Second.
I have a second from Jack. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of the special town meeting to approve the sewer usage budget fund and sewer assessment budget as set by the Sewer Water Pollution Control Authority, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstention, motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tax refunds, items 4, Mr. Waters.
Motion to approve 1 through 20.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Any further discussion on that?
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, yeah, that's right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimously. Next, we're gonna go to the Board of Education request, which we moved under Finance. This is a new item on tonight's budget. It was not previously part of your proposal. This is based off of, sorry about all that noise. This is based off of the Board of Education's request to utilize the remaining fund balance from the leftover of the money that we authorized for the sign on 2 items. Mr. Town
Without
Manager?
objection, Mr. Mayor, I'll take it, because I actually learned of this when Claudio came in to do his CNR for the BOE. If you want to talk, you can. All right, the number, if you have the sheet in front of you?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
All right, his numbers are actually not correct, so he has a savings of $77,942.24.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of $90,030. It didn't add up if you took that, 97 and, okay. So we have $77,942.24. Now, he did get an appropriation of $97,197. He did use $17,167. At any rate, when I saw this, I said, since that money was already earmarked for BOE out of CNR, I told him to put together a couple of projects that he's asking for this year, and I would bring them before the council to see if we could accomplish a couple of things as soon as possible with the remaining funds, and then take it to the BOF for their approval. So the 2 projects he picked out were Woodside Gym lights, changing them to LED at $36,329, and ECS window air conditioners replacements, $23,288, for a total of $59,617. I would urge you to please approve this. Since this money was already earmarked last year for BOE, it eliminates a couple of the projects that were on the Gordian report.
What's the balance? What's the balance?
My math doesn't add up, though.
So
Can you
just,
say that again?
yeah.
So we approved $97,197 for this project that only cost $17,167, which leaves us
Not
with.
me.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you do the math,
Okay, no.
He's
That
got
that leaves
se-
you with $80,000.
Giving you how much he's got left. He's got $77,942.24.
Okay, so if you take out the two projects that he wants, that still leaves you with almost $17,000.
Yeah, go ahead.
Extra.
Please.
So, he got approved for 97,197.
Right.
And he's telling you that it's going to cost 17,000, but right now he has encumbered 19,254.76 for that $17,000 project. He's assuming it's coming at 17, but he put the purchase order in for 19,254.76.
So we built in leeway.
Yes, and so that leaves the balance of the 77,942.24.
So, my question is, Claudio provided us with a priority list, which was shared with the Public Assets Committee and with myself. And his number one priority is the DISIAQ Indoor Quality Air Assessment. He says that's the number one priority. It's a state mandate, and that's $40,000. His number two priority on that list was listed as, I'm looking for
Yeah,
it.
but those items may have been approved by me to go forward this year as number one priorities.
Sure, but my point is, if we're gonna take two projects out with existing money, shouldn't it be our first or second priority? Because they've already been identified as first or second priority versus, for example, the Woodside lights aren't on his priority list for this year. They're not on his 1 through 12. So, I just don't I'm happy that we have extra money. Like, okay, AC unit refreshment is on his list, and it's listed as his 8th priority. So if we've already established a priority list and we have leftover money, shouldn't we start at the top of the priority list?
And the other thing is,
That's where you wanna start.
I mean, I'm just saying.
All I wanna do is utilize the funds that were already appropriated.
No, and I
Right, but I want to
understand that.
utilize them in the order that we have assessed, and that's why we put together the Facilities Committee, is to prioritize these projects.
Sure.
And then the math still doesn't add up, because if we take those two projects, there's still $18,000 left of what he hasn't used. Where's that $18,000 going?
So why don't we not rush? I mean, my philosophy on this is, it's all money that we have encumbered for this fiscal year. We're still in this fiscal year. Can we ask the Asset and Facilities Committee at their meeting next week just to review with Claudio this list and then these things and understand why these are jumping the line?
I don't understand why it would go to them, they're under a.
No,
Because
they're under us. They're
there's
advisory
other
to us,
projects
so
that
they're-
have higher priorities than
Yeah,
this.
I just don't understand if there's.
Move this along, then take the two items that you want, plug them in, and approve them, and then I can go to the Board of Finance with them.
No, and
What happens to the leftover $18,000?
Back to general fund back to CNR.
Yeah, my point is, if he sent us a list that says for this upcoming year, he has 16 priorities, and number one is something different, and one of the items don't appear on his priority list, and the other item is number 8, it just doesn't make sense to me that we rush and we skip the line when he's already identified other priorities.
It may be because we went through the list first and his request, and then we found out that he had this money left over.
Yeah, so this is just my preference. The council can do what they want, but I would rather pump the brakes on it, do it right, make sure we're investing in the most important thing with the money that we have. We have an Asset and Facilities Committee that we set up
For a
for the
reason.
explicit purpose of helping us sift through it, so we're not spending time at meetings doing it. Claudio can write a memo saying why he thinks these two things should jump the prior priority list. They can review it.
He's listed the other ones as number ones, so just pick two number ones and let's approve them.
Why are we in such a rush to spend this money?
I'm
Without
I'm not
taking a
in a
look
rush.
at what the best priority is for this money.
You have your number ones.
Yeah, his number one is the air quality test for the
We have his
schools, which are
number
mandated. Yeah.
Those are his, yeah, pick them.
He doesn't have a number 2. It skips from 1 to 3. There's no 2. That's strange. There's
On
no
the
number
list
two.
I had, there was ones and twos.
Okay. What, I'm sorry, do you want to address that? I heard some. Oh, I wasn't looking up. I just assumed it was you. I mean, listen, I am all in favor of using surplus money in proactively, but I'm also a fan of doing it thoughtfully and intentionally and in a unified way, not just scrambling and saying, okay, we have extra money, let's throw it at this, let's throw it at that. So my recommendation, and again, we're a deliberative body, we can disagree, is to just ask for next week they have an asset meeting. We're back here in March 3rd. We can add it to that agenda if we really want to. Just to work with Claudio over the next week, just to get a better understanding about why these are the two projects that he's saying. Why is he skipping the line of these other projects that he's already said? Just getting a little bit more clarity on it, having a report issued back to us, and then we can make a decision about if we want to stick with this original, if we want to change it. This just seems like they're throwing darts and picking numbers, and I don't think that's a good way to run projects.
I would agree with that. I would agree that this is a confusing proposal at best. We're not sure what,
I'd like to
you know,
make
what's
a motion to table this
Yeah.
until we get a little more clarification on the priorities of spending this
And I'll second
money
that. Yeah, I second it.
and revisiting it on March 3rd.
And so we can add it to the March 3rd agenda. So
Yeah.
I have a motion made in a second. Any further discussion on that? Before we do it, Matt, is that okay with you? Could you communicate to Claudio and the chairwoman that maybe we can have Claudio either attend the next asset committee or prepare a memo to the next asset committee about why he's chosen these two as priorities when they weren't his priorities in the master list?
Sure, and I can also share that, you know, Claudio has expressed to the board, and I believe the precursor
Yep.
to the facilities, that sometimes priorities change.
Yep. And
they
it could be as simple as that.
And it can happen quickly for various reasons. For, you know, example, we have a new boiler listed as priority for, just, you know,
Yep.
hypothetically, say the new boiler is 10 on the list because we think it needs to be replaced in 2 years. A major part fails and it jumps up to 2. So,
Yeah.
you know,
And
things
it
like
can-
that can happen with facilities.
It can be as simple as that, but what I don't want us to do is commit public money just because we need to do it really quickly when 2 weeks won't kill whatever bid it is. We'll be back on March 3rd with it.
Yep, so what I will do is, I will reach out to our chairwoman and I will ask for a memo from Claudio explaining.
Yeah, and if he's available, Jason, when's your next meeting?
17th.
If he's available on February 17th and he wants to go to that meeting just to talk it through with them, they have his old priority list, so just kind of fleshing through why these jumped the line. That could be
got it.
helpful. Thanks.
Thank you.
And then Jason, if the committee could produce a memo for our March 3rd meeting with what you guys discussed and where you landed and what your recommendation is.
Yeah, so our plan already was to meet on the 17th to prep for us meeting with Claudio and the rest of the facilities committee on the 24th.
Okay, so as
So
long
we
as,
should be able to wrap all this stuff and have it in a nicer package for you guys by the 3rd.
the 3rd, yeah, so that way we can move on it. Thank you. Okay, next we move to the chief of police update for his last update with us, unless I decide to call a special meeting between now and the 19th with just one agenda item.
Good evening, how's everybody doing? Good. So, besides the packet in front of you from my report to town manager, I just have a couple things I'd like to say. Before, as you know, this is my last town council meeting. I just want to take a moment to say thank you for a few things. First, I want to thank Anthony Salvatore. Thank you for your steady support, your trust, and your mentorship over the years. Your guidance helped me grow not just as a chief, but as a person and a leader. And I'm truly grateful for the confidence you placed in me and this department. So thank you. To the town council, thank you for the continued support of our police department and for understanding the challenges of the job we do. Your backing made it possible for us to serve this community effectively and with pride. And to the men and women of the Cromwell Police Department, this is the hardest thank you to give because words don't really cover it. Your dedication, professionalism, and commitment to each other and to this town and what made everything we accomplished possible. Any success or praise that came my way belongs to you. You made me look good, and I was proud every day to serve alongside you. This department has been more than a job, it's been a family. I leave knowing it's in great hands with Stephen Penn, which makes it walking away a lot easier. Thank you for all the trust, the support, and the honor of serving as your chief in Cromwell. I leave proud of this department, grateful for this town, and confident that things will run just fine without me checking my phone every 5 minutes. So I just want to say thank you, from the town manager, to the town council, to the community, to give me this opportunity. I've been here for over 5 years now. 36 years in law enforcement is a long time. No, it's not 40, but it's a long time. So I just want to say thank you. With that being said, any comments or questions?
If I may. Is the new police chief, is he gonna get your Tahoe?
I won't be here, so I don't know.
I think he should, instead of driving a Ford all the time. But thank you very much. You brought a lot of closure on morale since you've been here, and how you went out and fought for what you accomplished. And I know a lot of you officers are very proud to have you as, to look up to, because that's the type of guy you are.
It helps being 6'5".
But thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the counselors? Brian, I see your mic's on. Do you have a comment?
Yeah. I'd just like to say thank you for everything, and enjoy your retirement. You've earned every second of it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Chief, I want to echo the sentiments of my colleagues. Every meeting I try to go out of my way to thank you guys for the work that you do. Being in law enforcement today is, I think, more challenging than it's ever been before. The work that you guys do is more important than ever before, and at the same time, you're under more scrutiny than ever before. You've led the department through a lot of change. You've worked with us, with the union, to really revamp a lot of parts of that contract. We went from we're struggling to recruit to having people trip over themselves to try to get to the department. We've grown the department since under your tenure. I think we've added, 3 to 4 officers since you became chief, something like that?
We've hired probably about 8 police officers.
Yeah, 8 police officers under your tenure, and qualified people who, again, how many applicants do you have for openings now? That just is a remarkable testament to your strength of leadership and your team's strength of leadership. It's been a pleasure to serve as mayor with you as my chief, and to see you zipping around at the Travelers, to help listening to my woes as people complain about somebody parking on their lawn or driving too fast, or they want a speed bump here, or whatever else it is. You always do it with patience and dignity and kindness, balancing both the need for public service but also what is best operationally. So you are an exemplar of a great chief, and it's really been a pleasure to have you as my chief as I navigated my first 2 years as mayor. So thank you. You're just an incredible testament to the strength of law enforcement, and we're so incredibly grateful for you. So thank you.
Very much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. That it?
He's had enough time. The poor public and him. Okay, sorry to the public. Sometimes the reports for the different departments go really quickly. Sometimes they go really long, so I apologize. I see a couple members of the public here. Mr. Spina, last report from the departments.
Thank you. It's a tough act to follow, and they're gone, but congratulations to both the chief and the captain from me as well. You have quite a bit of updates in front of you, and I'll certainly try and answer any questions you may have. But I guess what I want to add to it is it's been about the weather, right? The last month, I think we responded to about 14 snow events this year, from minor to major. Obviously, the Storm Benjamin on January 25th and 26th. I appreciate the town manager's comments, and I agree 110%. I said this my first winter here, which was 14 into 15. When it comes to clearing the roads, my staff out there is second to none. And that comes from 40 years in the field with 3 different municipalities. So kudos to the guys. You know, they're second to none. They give us 100% plus during when the weather's at its worst. They certainly step up and give us everything we need and then some. I was here for about 18 hours on Sunday the 25th into Monday the 26th, and there was not one time, even through the thick of it and the worst of it, when we were getting 1.5 inches plus an hour, that our roads were not traversable. And I don't think that can be said for most communities when you go through something like that. Again, thank you, Tony, and thank you to any staff that may be listening. With that said, you know, there's some challenges this winter. Our budget is one. As of the payroll, the checks that get deposited tonight and in their checking accounts tomorrow morning, we're at 85.9% of our snow budget. And I think the mayor got beat up enough earlier for cutting it not 1 but 2 years in a row, so we'll leave that alone for now. But that doesn't include there was a few hours Sunday with drifting, and we had short staff in to clean up, and we were also called by our PD at 4 o'clock this morning. So there's we're probably at about 90+%, and with any fortune, winter will quiet down. And I mean, but it is what it is, and if the storms persist, we'll have to move some money around and make it happen. Bigger concern has been salt. If you pay attention to the news, it's been quite a challenge this year. The demand is overwhelming, and the supply is limited, and the frigid temperatures, the Arctic blast that we've all encountered for the majority of the last 6 or 8 weeks has made it difficult for river transport and barges and stuff to that effect. I placed 2 orders. I don't sleep in the winter because of salt and sand supplies, and this goes back decades, but 4 weeks ago I placed an order, 300 ton. They typically deliver in 2 to 5 business days, and we're waiting on it. A week later, or the day after Martin Luther King Day, I doubled down on that order because we had weather that weekend. So there's 600 ton in the queue for us. Again, 2 to 5 days. Morton Salt stopped answering the phone. I finally got an account manager on the phone last Thursday, and the best he can do for me was, Lou, I'm sorry. We expect the barge to come any day now, which I believe it arrived. They were going to spend this week offloading and treating it, and with any hopes, you know, with any luck, he thinks they'll start fulfilling all their back orders next week. So in the interim, I did find an alternative supply. Although it's a little more expensive, we were able to procure a couple 100 ton that my highway staff has been hauling down the Gateway Terminal and hauling it up ourselves. So we did put about 200 ton in the barn the last few days. So we're in a position to treat a couple small storms if need be. So that's really all I have to say. I mean, it's been a challenge. The weather's certainly been a challenge, and again, our staff's been at their finest. So that's really all I have.
Any questions for the Public Works Director? Mr. Waters, go ahead.
I'm at it tonight. What, besides the salt, what other mixture did you have in there? To me, it looked like a sand base or something mixed in with the salt.
There's a little, we keep a little sand, you know, for A, to give to residents, and B, you know, if we want to put on a spill here and there, or, you know, we've been treating primarily with salt for a decade and a half, even before I got here. There's stuff in the back, and here's the plus with the salt supply being so scarce. We haven't been to the back of that shed in 5 years. We moved into that facility in February of 21, so just about 5 years ago. So this is probably the first time that we've gotten that deep in it. So the good news is we're rotating it out, a lot of it, because the backside is open. And I'm gonna look at, maybe call Shelter Logic and see if we can close that in, because of some moisture that has crept in. A lot of that stuff in back clumped up. So again, because we had the opportunity to get to the back of it, guys have been breaking it up with the heavy equipment and mixing it in with what we were able to get the last few days. So we'll get it out. But some of it, years ago, we used to, not that it means anything to you, but Clear Lane was the supplier. Their product was green. Then we went to a treated road salt, which has a brown tint to it, so that might be what you think is sand. And the stuff we just got now, the only stuff that was available, it's actually called a solar salt. It's from a different part of the mine. It's more white, looks like your traditional table salt, but bigger, bigger.
But to me, it looked like the way it was spread, like, like sand. Because I know a couple times I would stop
It
the
could be what
vehicle,
it's
take a
treated with.
look.
It could be, it was treated with like a brown molasses over the, it's different.
Okay.
And some of it actually does have a brown tint to it, the salt.
Yes, that's what I'm referring to, yes.
So,
Any other questions for the Public Works Director? Just want to echo the kudos. Our roads were better than, I think, the state roads, and I think our roads were much better than my condo association's roads. I did not get plowed out for a day and a half after the snow, so I voyaged through the snow and then suddenly got on a town road, and it was like, I was smooth sailing, so thank you, appreciate it.
I agree with that, and again, I'm a little biased, but I think that's a really objective assessment. Again, depending on, I take different routes home depending on traffic, and so I drive through Berlin, I drive through Southington, I drive through parts of Cheshire. I'm extremely satisfied when I leave here or come in the middle of a storm, and again, our roads are in great shape, and that the worst of that storm was between like 1 p.m. and maybe 8 or 9 p.m. and we never lost control, which I was worried about. I mean, again, 2 inches an hour, it's impossible to keep up with it, but we doubled up on that was an all hands on deck event. And not only that, not only the roads, I have to recognize building maintenance as well, because they have the responsibility of keeping the police department open and the sidewalk safe so that the police officers can get in and out and the public can get in and out as needed. And in the heart of all that, we had a couple guys out there with snow blowers, and really it was amazing, whether it was at the worst of it in that hours or 12:30 at night, 1 in the morning before I went home. They were out there, they were all moving, they were all busy, and really just it spoke volume for who they are and what they do. So.
And I apologize again for my crusade to limit the overtime budget. I was wrong.
Yeah, no, and thank you for that. But when we do that, we usually take 3 to 5 year averages, and I think when I came here in 2014, we had some really active winters, the first 3, 4, 5 winters, which is how we got to where we were. And then thank God. I mean, I guess it's not a bad thing that we had some quiet ones. My fear was this one, and you couldn't have handpicked it any worse or any better depending on your perspective. But like the town manager said, a lot of them have been on Sundays and or the day after Christmas was a floating holiday, boom, we got snow. Martin Luther King Day holiday, so it's all double time. And again, the guys earn every nickel of it, but it does take its toll on the budget. So
Thank you, Lou. I apologize. Absent any other questions, we will now move on to citizens' comments. I'm so sorry to the citizens. I will, part of the reason that we have citizens' comments after the different department heads is because a lot of times the department heads address important information that's happening, and sometimes it actually addresses what the citizens are talking about. So I apologize that it took so long. Maybe we'll reassess where citizens' comments goes in the future. But with that, citizens' comments, please, 2 minutes per speaker. Please state your name and your mailing address, and come up to the podium and address us. I'll start with Ms. Kelly. Go ahead.
Alice Kelly, 47 Willowbrook Road. I just want to say is that I have to offer how wonderful Willowbrook Road was, and also I want to say is that I love the mountains of snow that is in the open space where you, I guess, take down all your snow and put it in there. I could just see getting it higher and higher and higher. And I think it's great that they use that to clear out the snow so that people can get out of their homes and things like that. But I mean, yeah, they just did a terrific job, and I think many times people don't realize how much effort it takes just to keep the snow off. If you went up to Malden, Massachusetts, let me tell you, you would just say they had snow up to here, the roads are like this, and they still are. So kudos, and to our Public Works, to all of our people, they just do a magnificent job. And I think that, something should go out, even in the newsletter, and just say, good job, Public Works, you let us get out of our homes and things like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Any other citizens' comments? Matt?
I feel like you've heard from me too much tonight. Matthew Zarowski, 25 Sovereign Ridge, speaking as a citizen and an educator as opposed to a Board of Ed member here in town. I, as an educator, feel it is very important to point out to you, Mr. Mayor, that an hour-long study hall is meant to be used for studying and not for annoying the SRO.
I'll go in my Wayback Machine to 2009, James, and let him know the error of his ways. Thank you.
Matt, don't run away, okay?
Deputy Mayor wants to know if you'll be willing to stay. He has a question for you after the meeting.
Thank you.
Good evening, James Rude, 25 High Ridge Road. Let me start by saying it was nice to see the young men of Boy Scout Troop 26 here this evening. Those young men are going to be some of the future leaders of our town and our country. And for those of you that may not know, Troop 26 has been chartered here in the town of Cromwell since 1939, 87 years. And I hope I'm still around for their 100th anniversary here in 13 years. I also would like to congratulate Captain Penn on his pending promotion and Chief Fred on his pending retirement. Again, the town of Cromwell Police Department does such a wonderful job keeping us all here safe in town, and we thank them for all the things that they do. I heard this evening that the town audit report for fiscal 2025 has been completed and distributed to some folks. I'm optimistic that that will be posted on the town website in the next day or two so that the public will have a chance to look at that said document. And I would like to also chat about the Director of Human Resources position that got some discussion at the last meeting. I've had an opportunity to read the job description, and it's a well-done job description. And the town of Cromwell is clearly looking for a robust candidate. Key elements of the position of Human Resources Director are town government-wide responsibilities: talent acquisition, development, and retention, compliance with federal and state employment laws and regulations, overseeing compensation and benefit programs as well as union contract matters, employee relations, as well as human resource department operations. I know that there was a comment made by Council Member Bonneau at the last meeting asking if the salary range that was being discussed was aiming low. And I agree with that particular thought process. I am concerned that the proposed salary range is meager considering the responsibilities that we would like this individual to have. And not meaning to compare to the Human Resources Department Director or the Library Director, but I think the responsibilities that the Human Resources Department head will have will be well in excess of those. And so I certainly hope that we do fund that position at an adequate level. And I anxiously await hearing this evening how the recruiting is going for that particular position. I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments?
Do you want me to speak about the 490 now or after you've had your discussion?
I'll recognize you during our discussion unless there's something more general you want to specify. I know you had some handouts that you had as part of the record.
Jason LeBlanc, 3 Cedar Drive. I think I've mentioned this past, but I'd like to bring it up again. I know we talked a little bit about modernization today and notices and making sure people know stuff. I'm going to put a plug in again for an app for the town, which would make notices show up on people's phones. People are busy. They don't necessarily see the sign over on the corner there. They certainly don't come to the website if they have 2 kids and they're running around going to sports practice. I know. So, but if it's on their phones, it's right there. So if we want more engagement from people in the town, or to make sure that all the work that you're doing or the other people doing here gets to the people, an app will be the easiest way to do it because it gets right to their phone. So if there's a way that we can look into that, I think it would be worthwhile for the town. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And Amanda, I know, and Tony, I don't know if you remember, I think last year, was it last year or the year before that we approved I think there was something in one of the budgets about something digital and some kind of digital system. Was that a couple years ago now? To do text messages and everything else? Was that like 3 or 4 years ago now? Yeah. Everbridge. Could we send out an Everbridge for the budget referendum, since that should go to anybody who signed up for it? Okay, thanks.
I do recall bringing up, I don't know if I brought it up in the meeting, but I think you and I discussed it at one point. There is a company out there that actually supplies a town app that you can download onto the phone specifically for Cromwell, that you can manage and update, things like that too.
I think that's worth revisiting. I remember us talking about it too. Okay, we'll keep moving through citizens' comments. Any other citizens' comments? Hold on one second now. Let's for citizens first. I just want to give any other citizens' comments. Mr. Whitney, I know you did submit a letter. Do you want me to read the letter into the record?
No, well, that's up to you.
Oh.
As long as they all have it signed, I'm willing to wait until you do the 490 stuff as well.
Okay. Amanda, did you distribute it to everybody or just to me? Oh, okay, so like, it's now in my pile of nonsense, so let me just find it again. No, I'm just gonna read it. Okay, I did receive, any other citizens' comments? And I'm gonna read Mr. Whitney's letter, but I'll ask again if there are any other citizens' comments. So, Mr. Whitney, where are you? Oh, that's why I'm in my sent box. I need to be in my inbox. Okay, Mr. Whitney did send me a letter earlier this evening. I apologize, folks. I sent it to Amanda. I know you did print it. It just got lost in the shuffle of my pile here. Okay, here we go. Howdy all. I'm writing on behalf of all the farmers in town, not just mine. As you know, farmers have had nothing but troubles the past few years, whether it was drought, flooding or drought. Both have devastated crops and land all over Connecticut. The state of Connecticut says it helps farmers through rough times, and that's what the public hears. Truth of the matter is, it is done on a pay now and get a % back later if you don't qualify, even though you lost everything and didn't make any money. The problem with that, or our 490 tax increases, no one says, let's ask how we can help. It's all done with nothing in mind except where we can get more money and make the public think we're helped. Everything looks good on paper and then gets pushed through without anyone knowing until it's passed, and the only way it's stopped is a whole lot of complaining and petitions. Then somebody says, maybe this isn't a good idea, maybe we need to find another way. I get told all the time at my job I need to find a way to cut costs. So the governor comes out and says, okay, we'll keep it this way. But no one says anything about the fact it's up to the assessor of each town to decide what they want to do. The town tax office says time and time again that they don't need to send out notices about tax changes or forms. We need to fill it out. It's up to us to know what's going on. Why do we have to jump through so many hoops to get info and breaks that we deserve? All of us farmers pay full taxes on our zoning, just like everybody else. When the town adopted each part of 490, they chose and they agreed with the rest of the land would be discounted. Now we have to find a form on the town website that should be on the front page with other news, but isn't. I had to ask for it to be sent to me because I couldn't find it, and I still have to hope the assessor approves my appeal. I'm asking for you all just to vote as a town and appeal this for all the people in 490, whether they know about it or not. Thank you for your time and consideration. John Whitney, Phoenix Farm, Cromwell, 115 Laurel Brook Road. Oh, that's the school. Got it. Phoenix Farm Road. Phoenix Farm, Cromwell. Sorry. Nooks Hill Road. I just kept reading down the list. I'm sorry. Okay, so that will be part of our minutes. Any other citizens' comments? Hearing none, I'd like to move on to item O. Sure. Do you want to do it now during? Yeah, just do it during citizens' comments. They're back to back, so might as well. Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. Just say your name and your address for us for the record. And normally it's 2 minutes, but if you want to go a little longer, that's okay.
No, it should be pretty quick. My name is Wendy Adamowitz. I live at 56 Pasco Hill Road in Cromwell, obviously, and we're farmers too. And I feel very strongly the way, I don't really know John, but his letter really hit home. When you look at the PA 490 and you look at the surrounding towns, I've spent days talking to the Office of Policy Management, Department of Agriculture, and the Farm Bureau as well, myself, to try to figure this out. We deal with an assessor that makes this very difficult. Every single town has adopted the 2020 land use values as asked by the governor when he rescinded the new numbers, except for Cromwell. I called Middletown, I called Portland, I called Rocky Hill, and all of them are going with the 2020 values. Also, additionally, all of those towns are also not in reassessment years or revaluation years, and they told me that they would not apply those land values until it was time for them to revalue their properties. So I don't understand why Cromwell is doing this, but on top of it, there's only so much hay I can grow on my land. There's only so many cows I can put on it, and there's only so many vegetables that I can grow before somebody starts telling me what I can put on my land to make a profit, to keep my property. My property is not really mine. I mean, it's mine, but it was in my family, my husband's family, since 1923. They bought it for a few $1,000s and some animals, and I still have the paperwork from the sale that day. And the thought of me not being able to hand that property over to my kids who have full-time jobs as an electrician and a nurse, because they would not be able to afford this, so that somebody can come in and put a big giant warehouse on it or low-income housing, is dreadful. And the worst part is that I live in River Valley on the Mattabesset River in a flood zone, that if I wanted to build a house, I couldn't. You guys wouldn't let me. It's not buildable property, but you want to tax me out of it. So that's my problem, is I don't understand why our tax assessor needs something written personally to her to say, use the 2020 values, when the governor has said it. OPM sets the standard that she followed 5 years ago, or 15 years ago, or 20 years ago, but won't follow today. That's all I have to say.
Yep, you're perfect. Mr. Kanata, do you want to just add anything before we start going through it?
Sure, why not? Mike Canado, 136 Nooks Hill Road, Cromwell. So I gave you a couple of handouts. The handouts I gave you are pretty self-explanatory in terms of the numbers and what was changed from 2020 to 2025. Sean is choosing to use those numbers immediately, as Wendy had mentioned, rather than waiting for the reevaluation. That's a problem number one. Problem number two, the second sheet I gave you is the recommended land use values effective October 1st, 2025, which is the new values that they're increasing them to. What I want you to pay attention to on that second sheet is the bottom half, River Valley municipalities. Cromwell is considered a River Valley municipality. That being said, Cromwell's values are even higher than the state averages. What you'll also notice, if you look at the list of towns, you'll notice that Middletown somehow is not a River Valley town. Basically, every town south of Middletown is not a River Valley town. Hartford is not a River Valley town. Last time I checked, that damn Connecticut River flows right through Hartford. It's a flawed list. It's a problem. Their logic about River Valley towns being taxed at a premium, or having the values be at a premium, is that the alluvial soils are supposed to be more fertile and they're supposed to give you better yields and all that kind of nonsense. The bottom line is those alluvial soils are also the soils that flood first in any extreme weather event. As Ann pointed out about a month ago, every time the river floods, Springfield, Hartford, Holyoke open up the floodgates on their sewer treatment plants. That being said, the Department of Agriculture tells every River Valley town that has crops grown in that river valley that if they flood for 1 minute or 10 days, doesn't matter. Plow them under. They're gone. They're history. So my point is, if you're going to say a River Valley town should be taxed higher, and in the next breath say, but by the way, in any extreme weather event, you have to lose your entire crop. It makes no sense.
I agree.
The River Valley towns should actually be taxed at a lesser level, or at least the same as the rest of the state. The whole sewer issue and the whole flooding issue puts River Valley towns at a disadvantage, not an advantage. So when you figure out how you're going to attack this and how Shauna is going to be given a suggestion how to treat this, I would recommend and hope that you think, as I do, that the River Valley towns, Cromwell being one of them, should be taxed at the same rate as the rest of the state. Because we're operating actually at a disadvantage, not an advantage, by the fact that we flood as frequently as we do flood. That being said, the numbers speak for themselves. We don't need to be penalized the way we're being penalized.
Yeah, hold on one second. So let me just go through the full before we jump in, let me just go through the full cadre of things and then we can have open discussion. Wendy, I just want to verify, you've verified, you said you talked to the state. Do you know if they've published the memo that the governor directed them to publish yet?
So I talked to, OPM.
Yep. Could you just go up to the mic for me? Sorry. No, just that way it can be recorded.
No, thank you, you can put that back.
You don't want to walk away with it? Okay.
Well, I did talk to them, and what they said is, it's true. The assessor is the one who sets the rates for the town, and the Office of the Policy Management provides these guidelines, and for years, towns follow them, because it's very difficult to figure out that I have, 60 acres, and Mr. Smith has 60 acres, and how valuable the land
Sure.
is based on what we're doing. But the letter, they said, the letter came out from the governor, and the Office of the Policy Manager, it says that all they can do is make the suggestion.
But and that's my question. His letter said immediately notify all municipal tax assessors of this revocation. Did that happen? Did they notify?
Well, if you look on, I don't know that they per se, or how this information gets transferred. I don't know how she gets the land values to begin with, let alone not to use the land values. But if you go on the Department of Agriculture website, under PA 490, it does say right in there that, the assessors had until January 31st to send out new assessments. I mean, given the amount of attention that this has gotten, the 20,000 signatures, the people going to legislation, the work groups that got put together for the farmers, there's a lot of women farmers in this state that got together, and they garnered those 20,000 signatures with the Farm Bureau, et cetera. Given the attention, I feel like, why do we have one town that's standing out, not complying, where everybody else seems to have made this easy? But they want to make it difficult for the farmers in this town, who most of them don't know. We talked to Jack Gardner today. He would be here, but he had another appointment, and he was unaware that he had to appeal the process, and he's a huge landowner in this town as well, in Rocky Hill. And why would he has to deal with two different towns with two different assessors.
So, perfect. So I'm going to have a proposal in a little bit, to multi-phase proposal. I think that's going to cover us on all bases, but my key question was exactly what you just answered. So thank you so much for doing the research on it. That's so helpful. And I want to give kudos to you and all of the farmers that led the charge, the 20,000 signatures, the hearing up at the state, to get the governor to so quickly, I think over a course of a weekend, you got him to reverse course and issue pretty strong.
But the sad part is that farmers aren't on social media.
Correct.
We're not there. We're working in our farms.
Yep.
We don't have time for this BS. We
I agree.
really don't. And most of the farmers that I deal with do not know this.
Yep.
The younger generation is coming up, and the towns are shutting them out before they can get here.
Yep.
People need to know where their food comes from, and they should have a choice.
I agree.
So keep us here.
So-
Don't let us sell.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let me just go through my spiel, because I want to read the governor's letter, I want to read Shauna's letter, and then then we can talk about whatever we need to. So the Connecticut legislature passed some public statutes that altered and amended the, specifically Public Act 490 recommended land use values for the October 1, 2025 grand list to ensure that the land use valuations were being adjusted. The effect of that caused a lot of discord. I'll be polite and say that. And after public outcry on January 19th, 2026, the governor issued a letter.
Can I interrupt you, though?
Yep.
In between there, they did lower them one time.
Okay.
So they was a very high new rate. I don't have the paper in front of
Yep.
me. And then we started to make noise, and then they lowered them. And that's when we went to the governor, and that's when the governor came out with the letter dated January 19th that says all the things you're about to read.
Yep, so the governor, thank you for filling the gap. I think it's important because not everybody here knows the whole story, and you lived the front line of it. So the letter from the governor says that he's taking the following actions as interim guidance: revoking Public Act 490, 2025 recommended land use values and best practices for farmland, forest land, open space, and maritime heritage land, and reinstate Public Act 490, 2020 recommended land use values and best practices for the land categories. Immediately notify all tax assessors of this revocation and reinstatement and convene a working group in collaboration with the Connecticut Department of Agriculture, including representatives from agricultural organizations, farmers, municipal leaders, and assessors, to recommend alternative measures to improve data collection, review, and valuation of processes consistent with 2B1 of the Connecticut General Statutes. So that was the essence of the letter, right? 3 parts: revoke the 2025 list, reinstate the 2020 list, notify assessors, and start a working group.
That work group
Mr. Mayor,
started yesterday.
Mr. Mayor, if you read, he didn't revoke it, though.
Yeah, correct. So again,
That's part of the problem that we're confronted.
well, I have some comments on that too in a second. So he's directed the Office of Policy Management to revoke the recommendations. Now, part of the act is the act set recommended guidance. Towns are free to deviate up or down from them. And so one of my questions actually I'll ask this question now before I read Shauna's letter. Does the decision to deviate one way or the other ever have to come before this council? I know when we create new tax exemptions, it has to, or changes to assessment like our veteran tax exemption, it had to come to us. Who makes the decision to go with the public act number or go higher or lower than the public act number? Is that a legislative decision or is that an assessor decision?
The assessor decides.
The assessor,
And that is not subject to any legislative oversight?
no,
So the legislative body of the.
guided by state statute.
So the state statute does not authorize the legislature of the town to, if the statute says the towns get to make the decision, the elected body doesn't actually get to make the decision.
That's correct.
To the degree that PA 490 says that you have to assess it based on the use of the land.
Mhm.
And the reason that
But if-
assessors don't do that is because they can't.
She can't. So if you look at the governor's letter,
Mhm.
which came out on the 19th, I think,
Mhm.
and our grand list was completed on January 5th, and if you go to Connecticut General Statute 12-60, she cannot amend as a result of that, unless there's a clerical. And that's built, I asked her specifically on that, and I went and looked at 12-60. As a result of that, she's not able to adjust. I don't know what these other towns are doing, but specifically, she's following the statute.
She's the only one that's doing this.
So,
I understand what you're saying. I or this body do not have the authority to tell her to do otherwise.
okay.
Do we?
So I'm gonna,
No, I
we'll
said
address
this
that in a
body,
second.
This
So,
legislative body, or I, do not, she's governed by the statutes.
yeah, so I'm gonna lay my cards on the table for what my proposal is gonna be. I have a 3-part proposal for the council, and then I'll read Shauna's letter. Part 1 is to ask the town manager to procure from the assessor exactly what she needs from OPM in order for her to feel that she can comport with what they're recommending. And I'll read her letter in a second. It
Well,
says without
she
something
didn't
from
get
OPM.
anything.
No, that's my point. I want there's a three-part plan that I'm gonna lay out. Part one is, once I read her letter, it'll make more sense, but she says she needs guidance from OPM. I wanna know exactly what does she need from OPM. I'm gonna email whatever she needs from OPM to Senator Lesser and to Representative Carpino and have them go to OPM tomorrow and get us whatever we need, whatever she says she needs to make it right.
I would have to say, with my experience, that they're a little hesitant to do anything because.
And that's fine, that's why we have a
No, no,
three-part
no.
plan.
What the governor should have done was an executive order.
And but,
Excuse me?
He can't do an executive
so,
order because I don't believe that the governor can control taxes.
Well, see.
So
Wait
he-
a minute, see, this is what I'm very leery about.
yep.
The governor is not doing an executive order, because he does, but.
He doesn't
but
have
I
the
think.
But the whole state is up in arms. I don't mean to interrupt you, sir.
I agree with you.
The whole
Please
state
don't
is up in arms,
misunderstand
and
what I'm
all the,
saying.
and all the assessors around us, and all the assessors in the town have adopted the 2020, and Cromwell is the only one saying that she can't abide by what the governor wrote in a letter.
Yep,
Because-
so let me, Tony,
ahead,
let me just finish.
Yeah.
So I have a three-part proposal. Part one is asking the assessor to provide us exactly what she thinks she needs, so we can go out and try to get it. Part two is to direct the. Yeah, I'll direct it to you. Part two is to direct the town manager to send a letter to all 47 of the farmers that we have that are under 490A, informing them of the situation and letting them know their appeal rights, and attach the appeals form. Let them know in bold, this is due by February 20th. We are trying to fix it through other means. However, we want to preserve your rights. This is what it is. And then also direct that the town will not contest those appeals, meaning that if they get appealed, it goes, we're not putting on a defense saying we don't agree. It's just, what I want to do is I want to cover all of our bases. If we don't have the legislative authority to fix it ourselves, I want to find out what she needs to get it fixed herself. Number two, make sure, to your point, every single person is put on notice, and if it costs a couple $100, to mail it, let's mail it. It's a 2-page letter. It's, hey, this is what's happening. We're trying to get clarification. Here's the appeal. Fill this out, and if you fill it out, the town's not intending to contest it. You just have to come to a hearing. That way, we're protecting our
What will help
farmers.
with that is the property card to match your assessment.
And-
Because the property card I'm looking at is from 2022.
Yep.
And it doesn't match, so
Yep.
I can't have nothing to compare.
Correct. So we can do that. And part of, I know, I talked to Mr. Kanata about this earlier today. 11 farmers actually got small reductions because of the reassessment. So those people are probably not going to want to appeal. But the 20 whatever that got big assessment changes are going to want to appeal. But what I want to make sure is that if we as a legislative body don't have the legal authority to actually fix it, I want to make sure as heck possible that every single farmer gets a copy of it, doesn't have to do what Mr. Whitney did, which was search all over high heaven to find the form. To your point, not everyone's on social media. I want them to get something in the mail from the office of the town manager that says, hey, by the way, here, fill this out if this is what you want to do. And if they don't do it, they choose not to do it. And then number three, I want to have the council, so that's part one. Part two, and then, because this is very confusing and learning about it is pretty confusing, I'd like to have the council, under 208 investigations, the town council may conduct investigations into the affair of the town and conduct of any town department, office, or agency, and has the power to call witnesses before the town council. We need to talk to the assessor and understand what is in her power, what is in our power, when she has discretionary authority, what is that based off of? What is she basing those decisions on? If we don't have input on it, I want to understand what we do and do not have input on. Because if there are public acts and they're discretionary, which, I'll do the veterans tax one, we had the ability to vote and say we want to give a property assessment exemption to folks. That was something we had the authority to do. Why is that not the same for something that's like this, where you choose the different lanes? So I think we have investigation authority. We can call her as a witness. We can just explore it. It's not a punitive. It's not a investigatory into employment actions. It's what the heck is happening here?
Understanding.
Correct.
Right. And do you guys think about in the
but
future, do you want?
I want to ask her more questions.
You
So,
guys want farms in this town?
And
you
we
guys
do.
As the council, in the future, you know, is this what's gonna happen? That's gonna push us out, and then you're not gonna have any community farms when?
As far as your question on, there's a state statute that gives you the authority to do, to take that action, in that incident.
so, and again, that is what I want. I want to know where do we have discretion? Where does she have discretion? And is it all, you know, I want to go through it all. I want us to have a full understanding.
If other towns have taken this discretion and adopted the 2020, why is there no collaboration as to how they went about doing it?
I agree.
If there's that many towns that have done it, why
are we different?
She's
Why-
gonna
why
tell
is
you-
it that we
she's gonna
can't?
tell you what she told me.
So she can tell us the same thing when
She'll
we
be
call her
happy
here.
to tell you that the grand list was completed on January 5th. Connecticut General Statute 12-60 does not allow it to be changed unless specific reasons. That is not one of the reasons,
And so every other assessor in the state is doing it illegally except for her.
apparently,
Part of the problem is,
apparently that,
reading is like
Government.
reading the Bible. It's interpreted different by everybody.
no, I read the statute's clear. The grand list was completed on.
I know, but it's to their discretion. The
No.
discretion can be anywhere.
No, she doesn't
So,
have.
so that's my proposal.
I'll
Let me read
make-
her letter.
I'll make sure she comes before you.
But let me read her letter to be fair, because I said I would read it. Actually, Amanda, can you read it? I'm having a hard time opening it. I'm trying to open it and it keeps telling me Copilot is going to give me an AI summary, and I don't want that. I'm trying to open it. It says AI summary being generated. I don't want that.
And trust me, we have all the tillable land and all the charts.
No, I know.
Okay, so-
I just have one other quick thing to say, and that was, you created the veterans exemptions by ordinance, correct?
Correct.
Maybe it's time Cromwell created a farmer, tax exemption by ordinance.
The veterans was allowed by state statute.
We'll explore that then, because we'll see what we can and can't do.
If you can create a veterans exemption, you can't create a tax exemption,
No, this body does not have that kind of authority.
they have the authority to create an ordinance.
So we'll explore all avenues, and I think that's part of why I want the council to authorize the investigation part, because that's the point of that clause, is so that we can call somebody. So,
Connecticut's general statute gave you the authority to do the veterans.
sure,
They did
we'll
not give any
we'll go through it all with her.
to do farmers.
So, Amanda, could you read her letters, because I want to be fair, I said I wanted to read her letter.
There has been significant discussion regarding the newly recommended PA 490 farm values issued by the Department of Agriculture. Below is a summary of recent developments. Please note that these figures are recommendations only. Assessors retain the authority to determine values they deem appropriate. As part of its 5-year review process, the Department of Agriculture provides updated valuation recommendations to assessors. Based on the original 2025 recommendations, of the 46 affected accounts, 7 decreased, 13 remained unchanged, and 26 increased. Revised values were issued on January 5th, 2026, after the grand list had been completed. Once the grand list is finalized, assessors may only change assessments if there are clerical mistakes pursuant to CGS 12-60, and not for an error in judgment. Any property owner who is dissatisfied with their assessment may file an appeal with the Board of Assessment Appeals. We have notified all affected property owners that appeals must be filed by February 20th, 2026. I have heard discussions indicating that the governor may direct OPM to advise assessors to revert to the 2020 recommended values, which would effectively return the affected accounts to their prior year assessments. Under that scenario, the 7 accounts that initially decreased would instead increase, which may result in additional appeals and question the authority of changing their assessment. At this time, however, I have not received any official communication directing a return to the 2020 values. Given that these figures are recommendations rather than mandates, I would anticipate that any such directive would require formal action, potentially in the form of an executive order. Attached for your reference are the 2020 values, the original 2025 values, the revised 2025 values, and an analysis outlining the impact of reverting to the 2020 values. Shauna Barron, Assessor.
So with that, I have my proposal, which is 3 parts. Part 1 is to direct the town manager to inquire as to exactly what clarification is required from OPM and get that to us within 48 hours so that we can communicate it to our state representatives. So that's part one of my proposal. Part two of my proposal is to direct the town manager to issue a letter to everybody who's affected by 490A, informing them of the situation, how there's a discrepancy between the governor's action and the way the assessor is interpreting it, informing them of their appeal rights, attaching the appeals form in the property card so that they have all of the information should they choose to file an appeal, and in bold, let them know they have till the 20th to do it. To get that letter out ASAP. And then number three, under the section in the charter that allows us to conduct investigations, 2.08, to trigger that section to investigate why our town is deviating from what the rest of the state is doing, and to better understand the authority of the legislative body versus the assessor in making discretionary decisions. So those would be three separate motions. Again, I'm just one member of this body, but I think those are all the things that have to happen to protect all of our bases.
Yeah, they make sense to me, but I have a question. Sure. You're sending out these letters, they are gonna send letters back.
If they
Is
want
that what
to,
you're-
if they want to appeal,
Well,
but,
let's assume that there's half of that group would like to appeal.
sure.
I guess what I'm trying to say is I think they should be encouraged to bring are they bringing them here, right?
No.
No?
Assessment appeals.
Yeah, well.
Yeah,
by
here
I
physically,
mean
but not us.
Cromwell. They're
Yeah.
not sending them to Hartford or somewhere. My point is, with the mail and how the mail moves, sending them may not get here.
Snail mail.
So,
There's actually an email that you can submit it through the.
it will work through an email process?
So let's make sure that's all in the letter.
There has to be something that encourages them to either hand it to someone
Or
or
email it, yeah. And,
Email.
and include in that letter, right, that the town doesn't anticipate, like, sometimes they have the lawyer or Shauna argues against it. We're not planning to use any town resources to contest it. We'll leave it in the elected officials' hands to make, there's 3 members of the Board of Assessment Appeals. We'll leave it to the elected officials to, in their discretion as elected officials, make the decision they seem best. We're not gonna use town resources to fight it and say, we think it should be higher, we think it should be lower. We're gonna let the elected officials utilize their authority under statute. And again, the reason I'm proposing a tripartite approach is if we can correct the problem on the front end, that's great. If we can't, I don't want anyone to be prejudiced by, hey, wait and see what happens. Time's ticking. We get everybody notified. To your point, not everyone's on Facebook or, they may not have seen it. Gardner didn't know about it until you told him, like, let's get the information out there. And then the investigation part is so that we can get a better understanding of what we can and can't do and the rationale behind everything. I think we cover every base. Sure. We can do that too. We can absolutely do that too. If we, as a fourth item, maybe a letter signed by the council, endorsed by all of us, essentially saying that 490, as it was passed, needs to be repealed and replaced. I'm happy to add that as a fourth one.
And
We'll send a letter
and
anyway.
remove Cromwell as a
Let's-
River
let's-
Valley town.
If they
Well-
wanted to do it, though, they could do it, and they could have an effective date of immediately.
Yeah.
Well, they're
Upon
doing,
governor's
so
signature.
that's part of the problem is the trying to determine what the land values are. Because it was simple when it was, $200 an acre for pasture. But now they decided to raise the values on it because then you can borrow against it. It gets a big giant rabbit hole. But that's my point is, if I put cows on 60 acres, they're eating the grass, that's all they're doing, they're eating that, and that's it, and I can move them around. Or I could grow hay, if I can't grow more hay, so you can make my property worth $200 an acre, you can make it worth $100,000 an acre, I'm still not gonna grow any more hay, so the more you tax us.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm saying if the governor thinks it's important enough to go back to 2020, repeal it and go back to 2020.
That's what his letter
Until they
said.
come up with whatever they're trying to accomplish, which I don't understand. I read.
His point is to make sure they legislatively repeal it too. And we as a council can submit, we've done it in the past, letters to the state saying, we disagree with the policy, like we as a town legislative body don't like this.
Thank you for letting me speak.
Yeah,
Thank
no.
you for
thank you.
Because this is something that you can ask Mike, you can ask Tony. I was seeing red on this earlier, so.
Speaking of red, this is a copy of my actual assessment notice, and I do want to read this to you because I think the ability to file online is a flawed statement. I'm going to read right off this. It says, "You have the right to appeal this assessment by submitting a written application to the Board of Assessment Appeals on or before February 20th, 2026. This application must be on the form prescribed by the BAA and physically be on the assessor's office on February 20th. Postmarks will not be honored. So, no, you cannot do it online, and yes, you must do it in hard copy, and it better be in her office, so don't depend on the U.S. mail. You can hand deliver it, but do not depend on the U.S.
Make sure that's in the letter.
That was my point.
Let's make sure that's in the letter.
And I know that, there was some confusion. I wanted to read that literally right off the
Thank you.
assessment.
So let's make sure that, so the town manager added a fourth proposal, but there are 4 proposals for consideration. I'd like us to go through them one at a time, just so that way the motions are all clear. Unless people have other ideas, which is fine, I'm not God, you guys can disagree with me.
Yes, you
I
are,
just,
Jay.
just a quick thought, I guess we'll get our answer later, but we can issue tax abatements, right? So why couldn't we do something like that?
State statute allows you to do a tax abatement.
Yeah.
Only, are you saying if, or can we in general?
Can't be done. State statute allows you to do tax abatements on certain projects.
If, yeah.
New construction, it doesn't allow a tax abatement for something like this.
Okay. So again, I think that's why the investigation part is so important.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
So-
these are all questions that we need to get answers to. Because this just seems like every time we pull a string, it's either a brick wall or.
And she'll be happy to answer all the questions.
So let's start with the first thing, which is directing the town manager to inquire what documentation the assessor believes, specifically what documentation the assessor believes is either required from the governor's office and OPM, so we can provide that information to our state elected officials.
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay, made by Al, seconded by Jamin. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Or any further discussion? Good, okay. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries unanimously. Proposal number 2 that I had was to direct the town manager to send a letter to all of the affected 490A properties, informing them of the situation, how there's a disagreement between the assessor and her ability to implement the governor's letter, how the assessment appeals process works, a copy of the assessment appeal form, in bold saying when it must be hand-delivered by and to where, as well as a copy, you said the property card for each property?
Right, not the one that's existing out there, you're getting an assessment that you can't match up to a property.
So which property card should be included?
What is that assessment tied to? Whatever card, what that card would look like.
So maybe instructions to find the property card, is that what, because I'm trying to think about what to put in the motion for the letter.
Wendy, if they have this,
It's this.
if they have this, all the information is on this.
Yeah, if you have
This.
this, but if this doesn't match the property card where you go to look for it is from 2022. Last time
So let's not overcomplicate it. Let's just have the letter say what the discrepancy is, and a copy of the form in bold, you must appeal by this date. As a backup, while we figure this out, we recommend that you appeal if you disagree with the assessment by this date, in bold, hand-delivered, and indicate that the town does not plan on contesting your appeal.
Not
And that-
mailed, not mailed, hand-delivered.
Hand-delivered.
Wouldn't you say it's in disagreement with?
That the assessor doesn't agree with the ability to implement with the governor, something like that, about, just essentially take, I think that we just need to clarify the situation, how there's a disagreement about whether or not the assessor can implement the governor's recommendations. Maybe that's what it says. Just something like that. Because the idea is, I want the letter to let somebody know, like Mr. Gardner, who said he didn't know what was happening. Hey, there's a disagreement. You may still be taxed higher if we can't figure out this disagreement. If you don't want to be taxed higher, or you want to be taxed higher, for the 11 people who went down, do this. If you don't do this, we're trying to protect all angles. So, and then get that letter out ASAP. Okay.
I wouldn't recommend going by mail, I recommend hand-delivered, because the 20th is right around the corner.
So in the letter, say, must be received, not postmarked, by this date. We recommend hand delivery if possible. So that's really long motion, but, yeah. Do I have a motion on that?
Motion approved.
By Al, second by Jack. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. I'd like then a motion under 208 of the town charter to conduct an investigation into the town assessor's discretion under 290A and other assessment statutes, so we can better understand the legislative authority versus the discretionary authority of the assessor.
Motion approved.
Made by Al.
Second.
Second by Jamin. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. And then finally, per the town manager's recommendation, we'd like to authorize Amanda and the town manager to draft for the council's review. And I guess we can just approve it. Do we want the draft to come back to us? Or do we
No.
want them just to have the
Not
authority to
enough
send
time.
it?
There's not a lot of time here, Jim.
Okay, so we authorize the town manager and Amanda to draft a letter on behalf of the town council indicating that we believe 290A needs to be revoked and there needs to be, 490A, sorry, needs to be revoked, and more fair and equitable assessment processes for farmers, and particularly, to Mr. Kanata's point, River Valley farmers must be addressed in the current legislative session.
So moved?
So moved. Do I have a second? Second by Jack. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you to the council. Thank you to our farmers. I'm sorry you're having to go through this. I know you guys are important bedrocks of our community. And there's a shrinking number of you, and things like this doesn't make it any easier.
We're down to 47.
Down to 47.
So, James, are we gonna have a special meeting when Shauna comes?
We'll coordinate with the town manager, whether it'll be part of our March 11th meeting or otherwise. We'll coordinate with him.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
The appeal has to be in by the 20th.
The appeal has to be, the letter's gonna go out ASAP.
Oh, okay.
The investigation part is just us getting a better understanding, again, what's going on, what's in our discretion, what's in her discretion. To Jamin's point, what can we do, what can't we do? Why are we the only town in the state that is doing it differently? Like,
They don't have Shauna.
well, and no, but like, if it comes down to discretion, we need to understand that. So, with that, let's move on to our item P, approval of the minutes. We have, oh,
May I say something?
sure, I'll recognize Mr. Whitney.
Thank you. John Whitney, 76 Nooks Hill Road. You know, the problem with the wording is her discretion. I've been told by her that it's not fair that I pay less in taxes than somebody else who just has a nicer home or whatever have you, or who chooses not to put their land in 490. Well, that's their problem. I've also been told by Shauna that I have dry wetlands. You know, that's kind of an oxymoron. I have 48 acres. You can only walk on about 20 of it without getting wet. And I can only plant about 10 or 11. You know, and, you know, when she told me I had dry wetlands, I told her to put on a pair of boots and come for a walk with me. That has been yet to happen. When I sold my development rights to this town, the surveyors had chest waders on to find a property line. Mr. Kanata, myself, and the game club signed a piece of paper saying that we would not contest a boundary line out in Dead Man Swamp that could not be found because you'd be swimming before you get off my property. My property doesn't flood as bad as Mr. Kanata's, but it does flood. And, you know, the way she assesses things, it's like the Bible. She can assess it at A or Z.
Yes.
The former tax assessor taxed everybody leniently at Z. The second she became the tax collector, all the taxes in Cromwell went up.
Let's just be careful about talking about a town employee when they're not present. They have the right to be present and all that kind of stuff. So just be
Oh,
careful.
okay.
That's all. Just,
No,
you know.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But these are all things that she has said to me, or I've heard and so forth, and it just needs to be taken care of one way or the other, and it's just not right.
I understand, and that's part of why we're gonna trigger the investigation clause under the charter, so we can understand what the heck is going on.
Thank you, I very much appreciate that, and I'm sure all other farmers do as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will move on now to item P. We have two approval of the minutes, the regular minutes and the regular joint minutes for January 14th, January 20th. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Made by Al, seconded by Jack. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, I wasn't a member yet, so do I abstain from this?
You can abstain, yeah. To both? You were appointed after both of them?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? One abstention. Passes otherwise unanimously. For item Q, items 1A through D, appointments, and I just want an explanation on one of the appointments. The Public Asset and Facilities Committee, we had to flip-flop Doug and Victor because of the party balance. We realized we were right, Amanda, 1D short, so if we had Doug as a permanent member and Victor as an alternate, it would mess up the minority representation requirements. So we had to have Victor as the permanent member and Doug as the alternate member, not to throw off the numbers. Amanda alerted me to that. So that's why the applications may not match exactly, but that's why it's set up that way. We realized it after we were adding the people in. So I'll do them in a group, if that's okay. Could I do a motion to approve items A through D under appointments?
Motion.
Motion made by Brian, second by Jack. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimously. One resignation, Tom Cornfield from Zoning Board of Appeals.
Motion with regrets.
Motion made with regrets.
Don't forget this list.
Yep, that's three. Second by Jack. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimously. We have reappointments for the Library Commission and the Youth Services Advisory Board. Items 3A through F, I'll take a joint motion to appoint. So moved. Second by Al. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. I will now move on to informational items. First, we have the Human Resources Director job description and salary. We had asked the town manager to provide that. Mr. Town Manager, do you have an update on this? Yeah, just like I think you said that you're setting up a search committee and all that stuff? Interview committee, yeah. Okay. And you sent us the comparisons. Does anyone have any questions on the comparisons? Mr. Waters?
As far as informational items, no.
Okay. I do have two quick informational items. On Monday, I held my first office hours that were like by pre-schedule instead of just like as people want to meet with me. I did have only one couple come. I'll do a better job trying to advertise that in the future. The couple had some really good ideas for me. One of them that they suggested, and I don't think it's feasible maybe for this year, but maybe we can look into it for future years, is they suggested having a water conservation and cleanage fund for like our creeks, riverbeds to dredge them or clean them out, culverts to dig them out, and maybe every year if there's a fee or something, I don't know how this would work, but what they were saying was, is there a way if there's a fee that's collected by the town for something specific, instead of going into the general fund, it could go into a rolling fund that funds dredging, cleaning out culverts, updating culverts, those types of things, so that when we have a project, instead of having to scramble and find all the money, there's some money being seeded each year for that purpose. And I think it's an interesting, yeah, they had an idea that we would have or we could look into having like a public waterways cleaning and renovation fund that would be funded by, if we collect some kind of fee, I don't know what kind of fee, but if we collect some kind of fee or put money into it each year, that way it grows and accrues interest. And can be used when we need to dredge or clean out a culvert or expand a culvert or something like that. So instead of doing it once as a big capital expenditure, is doing it as a rolling fund.
It's part of the public works budget. They do culverts culverts already.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, just like we have a road fund, the gentleman, the couple's proposal was that we have a fund that, just like the road fund, that every year you feed a little bit of money in it, even if you're not using it every year. That way, seed money, that way it can be used when you need to dredge or when you need to clean it out.
I don't know if he's got a separate line item.
Yeah,
but culvert,
Did we not? I
We
mean,
do the culvert.
I just
this
think
is
it's
off
worth
track,
exploring.
but didn't we start some sort of a fund for senior center where, I mean, this was council.
There's this fund for seniors, but it hasn't been for
Weren't we
years.
weren't we supposed to be putting money into that every year?
I just think that this
No?
is, so my point
I
is,
understand what you're saying,
rep-
but I just wanna
I just wanna-
convey to the council that the Public Works already does culverts as part of their normal operation.
sure. What I'm saying, though, and I think the couple's point was, a lot of times these things don't get dredged until it's overflowing, or it's broken down, or it's collapsing, and that maybe by developing some kind of seed money or feeder program, that it, just like we do with the roads, it will allow it to grow. And all I'm asking is, could we just look to see if other municipalities have similar funds, or if it's something that's
I'll
worth.
have Lou check into
Yeah,
it.
just look to see if it's worth exploring, that's all.
No, we do it on a regular basis, and we don't wait for them to cause a problem.
Perfect. And then otherwise, I think I have, Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, I have coffee and conversation this Friday at 10 a.m. with the seniors, right?
Yes, you do.
I do. I'm gonna be there. It's on my it's on all two of my calendars. It's on both of them. I had my paralegal put it on a sticky note too, so I don't forget.
Can I circle back to this?
Yes, go ahead,
Second.
Brian.
For the, HR, position, has this been posted yet?
I'm not posting it until I interview the in-house person.
What do you mean?
The in-house person has expressed an interest,
So we're not gonna offer this to any other candidates?
not at this time,
Why?
because the in-house person has expressed an interest.
They have first rights.
But this is a non-unionized position.
Yeah, this isn't a
It doesn't
unionized
matter.
position.
We have a history, if we have a candidate in-house, the candidate in-house is interviewed.
We have a lot of histories that probably could go by the wayside.
But
But we're not gonna shop this to
Not at
every
this
available
time,
candidate?
Not until,
That doesn't make sense to me.
well, we did it with the police, you just did it with the police chief. We've done it with two previous police chiefs, and we did it with the director of finance.
But this is a new
This-
position.
This is, yeah, this is a position that's never
It's the
existed
same as
before.
her, it's the same as the generalist position, basically.
It's the same position and it'll only be full-time.
That's basically what the change is, but the duties are almost identical to the generalist position.
I think we're limiting ourselves on this one. I don't see why we shouldn't post this job and get as
Because I
many
have an
available
in-house
and.
person that
Get some
presently
candidates.
is operating in
Who's
a
better.
part-time
Yeah.
position that has expressed an interest to me.
How about candidates, advertising candidates to see who's the best fit?
Well, no different than what we previously did, as I described, in addition to, no different than basically our union contracts, where we don't go outside every time for a truck driver if we have people in-house.
What qualifications?
She has the qualifications.
But I mean,
What are our discretions on this?
yeah. Can we direct that it is posted, we get all the candidates, whether they're internal, external, and then do one set of interviews and we pick the best candidate regardless if they're internal or external? This is a new
It's my
position.
It's the town manager's appointment.
So we have no
I'm
say
having,
in this,
I'm
you're
having,
going to
a- I'm
appoint?
having a, what, why is such an interest in this position only?
What do you mean in this position only? It's a new position, it's not a, it's not.
It's not really a new position. There was an HR director that this body did away with.
Right, so I'm looking for the best candidate to represent the town as an HR director.
I'm not disagreeing, but we have an inside candidate
But if
that
we're only
has,
looking at one, then how do we know we got the best?
but it's no different than what we previously did for other positions, as well as I explained the conditions in union contracts.
I guess I'm not understanding why we wouldn't be looking.
Because I have a
for more-
candidate in-house until I properly vet her. I'm not going outside yet.
Could I ask who the party might be, or is that confidential?
No,
There's
it's
only
the,
one
it's
other
the,
in-house
it's,
No.
it's the present person that is doing the journalist, Bonnie Price.
I think we're being very narrow-minded on this.
Yes,
That's all
sir.
I'm saying.
Well, it's no different than what I just did for the police chief.
But that's an existing position. This is a brand-new position, regardless of.
Not really.
No,
The
no, it
journalist
is. The
doing
generalist
the
is,
same-
a generalist
I
has a
understand.
very different set of responsibilities than a director. The director of human resources isn't just responsible for enforcing regulations. It's about updating them, maintaining them, thinking about conflict resolution, thinking about big pictures, running a whole department and a town-wide human resources effort, rather than just, they're managing it, they're not just operating within it. They're a manager.
I would think that the process, the way it's happening now, would raise a red flag with an HR director,
Yeah,
quite honestly.
this is an exempt position. I think that it needs to go out for a general bid. It needs to have a.
She has the credentials.
And that's great, and if she's the
and-
most qualified candidate,
I'm-
she will get selected, and we should have an
I'm
impartial.
vetting her right now, and if that's the person I bring before you, then you have the option whether to say yea or nay.
And then we go out for candidates.
Right, so.
Then
I mean,
bring-
I don't wanna
and
put
then-
her
and then
through that
I'll-
and have her
then
go
It's a
through-
longer process.
And then I'll conduct another search.
There we go.
And then I'll bring somebody else before you.
There you go.
You know what, maybe she's the best candidate at the end of the day, but I don't think that's fair to her to make her go through the whole process twice. I mean, listen, I'm not speaking for everybody. I would
If she's
like,
not appointed by, excuse me, if my appointment is not approved by the council, I don't think she'll be reapplying.
well, I'm not telling you who to appoint. What, I think our contention is about the process through which the appointment runs. The appointment.
Again, I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying as well as.
Let's move it.
It's no different than what I just did for the police chief, and what I previously did twice before that for the police chief, as well as the director of finance.
But the police chief position has a person that is
Is it
very,
existing-
very well qualified.
Well, it doesn't have to do with the
Okay.
qualifications out, it has to do with the fact that the position already existed.
Yep.
And this position doesn't currently exist and hasn't existed for at least 8 years.
And
It's also a little
I
different that
will
it
vet the
answers to
inside
us as well.
candidate, and if the inside candidate has all of the qualifications, then I will make a determination if I'm bringing that person to you as my appointment.
I would suggest opening it to the public for a period of time.
No.
No. Okay? I
It's
mean, that's the
very
standard of
close-minded almost.
institutions.
It's not, because it's not fair to the inside person.
Sure it is, if they're the best candidate.
It's, once again,
want
it's
the
no
best
different
candidate.
if we're arguing whether, I'm looking for a truck driver, do I go out every time for truck drivers? Or maintainers? It's no different.
Well,
So are you saying that I should go out every time for every position?
The unionized
saying it's a bad
positions,
idea.
no, but
This
the
is the
unionized
exception.
positions are under a collective bargaining agreement that say you need to post internally
I
first.
can in-house and outside at the same time, if I so desire.
So let me just ask this, in the history of of your tenure as town manager, have you ever posted outside for any management, supervisory, non-union position while there have been internal candidates that were interested? So if somebody automatically expresses an interest internally, there's no outside job posting?
That's correct, I have not.
So library director, public
needs to
recreation
change.
director, I mean, that.
Library director, I posted outside because I had no one at the time interested in that position. Social services, the same thing. Finance director, I had somebody interested, did not post outside.
I think for non-supervisory employees, this whole practice has to change.
Yeah, it's troubling to me.
I think for non-supervisory non-unionized, employees, unless they get a collective bargaining agreement and they negotiate something else, but right now they don't have one, Those are appointed by you. You should have the discretion to go out and get the best candidate from the entire field of candidates.
I do have that discretion.
And maybe this internal candidate, I know who they are, I think they're great, I think they're wonderful, they may be the best candidate. But I think we're doing ourselves a disservice by not saying what is the scope of the universe we're having here. So let me ask this, while you have the discretion to interview and do all that portion of it, do we have the discretion to set the policy that
No.
non-supervisory authority must be posted publicly and privately before, we don't have that authority?
I do not believe you have that authority as it's my appointment.
I would
But your
like-
appointment is met by our approval.
So
correct.
we couldn't
That's
pass
correct.
something, we couldn't pass either a motion or an ordinance or whatever it is that says non-supervisory, non-unionized employees must be posted internally and externally, and the town manager has the discretion to choose, we can't, I'm trying to find.
Non-supervisory, this would end up being.
Sorry, supervisory, so I'm trying to find the actual, that's right here.
So what,
So what I'm saying is, right now, this is a non-supervisor position, number one. We don't, and it's an exempt employee, we don't have the discretion as a council to say that non-supervisory, wait, shouldn't this be supervisory? Why is this listed as
It
non-supervisory?
reads as non-supervisory.
It's supervisory.
So the job description needs to be fixed.
needs to be
So for supervisory exempt positions, we can't, as a council, say we want there to be general candidate searches internally and externally?
No,
But we can approve the appointment or disapprove the appointment.
that's correct.
and whatever we say
We're
goes,
kind of going around in
correct?
circles.
Okay.
If I bring you someone that's not qualified, that if you feel is not qualified, then you can vote that person down.
But you're gonna say that person's qualified.
Well, no, I mean,
If
yeah,
I'm
he's gonna
bringing
bring
you
somebody to us
someone
who's gonna be qualified.
That
but
you feel
That
that's
I-
qualified.
I'd like to get an opinion from the town attorney on to whether or not we can require supervisors that are exempt to be subject to a public posting, or is it completely in the town manager's discretion? I want an opinion. If the opinion's the opinion that we don't have any control over it, and the only thing we can do is veto it, so be it.
I'll get you that.
Sure.
Okay.
And I think this is just saying that the direct report is non-supervisor.
Oh, direct report, non-super, I
It
understand.
says one non-supervised.
The executive assistant, okay,
So it has a person under them.
okay. Any other informational items? Mr. Waters?
Matt, sorry to keep you. Because you're a gentleman. I don't know if the town council is aware of, but are you aware of Claudio's secretary's assistant?
Be careful, Al, talking about town employees.
Not-
We really shouldn't be talking about.
town employees.
Okay.
About the mishap.
Okay.
All right, well, unfortunately, that was her son that got killed here last
Oh,
week.
gosh. Okay.
That's,
Please extend our condolences. I wasn't aware of that. Oh, my gosh.
they're having services from Saturday morning at the Victor on Meriden Road. Initially, he was born raised in Cromwell, he had a brother, I knew them both, and Lynn, and
I didn't know that.
and the father. Anyways, just for information.
No, thank you. That's really
I think we should
upsetting.
maybe send something to her, because she's been in Board of Ed for a long time.
I'll work with the town manager to send a condolence card.
Thank you. Sorry, Matt.
Any further informational items? Hearing none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Please.
Made by Al, with a please, seconded by
Please.
Jack. It's 10 PM. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, abstention?
Huh?
Motion carries, 10 o'clock.